नहीं, आप ऑन कर दो observation. I'm very happy that most of you have followed the instructions and they are more or less technically correct, most of them. छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं जो आप में से बहुत लोगों ने ठीक लिखी होगी, कुछ ने नहीं की है, उनके लिए मैं बोल रही हूँ, क्योंकि हमें तो कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली सबको अपग्रेड करना है। तो जहाँ पे डीलिंग असिस्टेंट का आपका सिग्नेचर होता है, वहां पे डीलिंग असिस्टेंट का नाम और डेजिग्नेशन भी होना चाहिए। तो कई जगह खाली सिग्नेचर थे या ब्लैंक थे, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, अगर एक जूनियर असिस्टेंट सबमिट कर रहा है तो कुछ लोगों ने सीधा असिस्टेंट रजिस्ट्रार को मार्क किया है या रजिस्ट्रार को मार्क किया है। हायरार्की में कभी भी जूनियर असिस्टेंट कभी भी रजिस्ट्रार को रिपोर्ट नहीं करेगा। तो एक आध केस थे सर, उन्होंने सीधा अपने आप को अपने लेवल पे ही रख के उन्होंने मार्क कर दिया। दे कुड नॉट विजुअलाइज दैट दे आर एक्चुअली जूनियर असिस्टेंट, दे वर टू राइट अ नोट एज जूनियर असिस्टेंट। ये दूसरी बात है। तीसरी बात, एक आध लोगों ने, नॉट मेजॉरिटी, बट द नोट वाज इन फर्स्ट पर्सन। वो सर ने क्लियरली बताया था कि नोट कभी भी फर्स्ट पर्सन में नहीं होता है। आई एम टू सबमिट नहीं, ठीक है, दिस इज टू इन्फॉर्म करके या वॉट एवर, इट कैन नॉट बी इन फर्स्ट पर्सन। फोर्थ, कुछ लोगों ने लेटर के फॉर्मेट में लिखा है। नोट था वो, आपको ऑफिस में अप्रूवल लेना था अपने ऑफिसर का, तो ये नोट होगा, ये लेटर नहीं होगा। नोट का एक फॉर्मेट होता है, नोटिंग करते हैं आप, और फिर आप डीलिंग असिस्टेंट साइन करता है और उसको हायर ऑफिसर को मार्क करता है। कई लोग थे जिन्होंने बहुत ही छोटा नोट बनाया जिसपे वर्बोस नहीं होना चाहिए था, सर ने ये बताया था। एक्स्ट्रा डिटेल्स नहीं होने चाहिए, ये भी सर ने बताया था। लेकिन नेसेसरी डिटेल्स तो डालने पड़ेंगे ना, कि फीस कितनी है, टाइम क्या है, वेन्यू क्या है। तो कुछ लोगों ने उस चीज को नहीं किया है, ये एक है। और एक व्यक्ति थे, अपने आप समझ जाइए जो भी थे, मुझे नाम याद भी नहीं है और बोलना भी नहीं चाहती। नोट बना के नीचे लिखा था डीएफए प्लीज। हाँ, तो नोट कभी भी ड्राफ्ट नहीं होता है। ड्राफ्टिंग इज अ डिफरेंट थिंग, वो कम्युनिकेशंस के लिए होता है। नोट कभी भी अपने ऑफिसर को ड्राफ्ट नहीं पुटअप किया जाता है। लेकिन अगर आप चाहते हैं और आपको लगता है कि आपसे गलती हो सकती है, तो इनफॉर्मली दिखा दीजिए, बट फाइल पे वो ड्राफ्ट नहीं बनता है। ठीक है, दीज वर द फ्यू थिंग्स सर। ओवर टू यू।
सप्लीमेंट करें क्या?
जी जी जरूर।
मुझे एक दो बात जो समझ में आई मैडम के कहने से, बिकॉज ऑल हर ऑब्जर्वेशंस आर वेरी पर्टिनेंट। तो कई जगह है to take care of these problems. Many organizations, what they do, they issue stamps for all the officials, even for the officers. The moment you put your signature, you put your stamp, that gives the name and designation and everything, so that problem is taken care of. So that can be introduced in the different organizations जहाँ पर कि आप करते हैं। और बाद के रिकॉर्ड के लिए भी वो जरूरी है कि किसने वो नोट लिखा। सपोज somebody there is some issue relating to that proposal, then you can very well say that this note was written by you or this note was not written by you। तो एक तो वो है। दूसरा जो मैडम का ऑब्जर्वेशन है, और हमको लगता है कि दिस इज सिम्टोमेटिक ऑफ ए systems problem, कि वो junior assistant, if junior assistant is putting up to the registrar, I have my impression that many organizations do not have manual of office procedure with them, because in manual of office procedure the channel of submission of file and level of disposal of file is indicated, is given, or it is also issued separately through different orders। तो अगर वो चैनल ऑफ सबमिशन नहीं है कि कौन किसको सबमिट करेगा, या ऑर्डर इशू नहीं किया गया है, these things happen and this would be avoided। तो ये बेहतर हो कि आप पूरा एक सिस्टम इम्प्रूवमेंट का, दिस इज वन पार्ट, HRD is one part, but many things come out of this exercise, and there is a need to now focus on द सिस्टम इम्प्रूवमेंट पार्ट ऑल्सो। तो जहां जहां नहीं है इस तरह के चैनल ऑफ सबमिशन का या उसको डेवलप करना चाहिए, तो उससे एक आपका सिस्टम बन जाएगा, तो ये सब गलतियां आपसे नहीं। तो ये सब दो तीन चीजें मैं आपको बताना चाह रहा था। और दूसरी बात ये है कि उसमें एक नोट है और दो तीन अलग अलग कम्युनिकेशन के फॉर्म्स हैं। तो आप लोगों ने अगर अटेम्प्ट किया है तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, मैडम ने उसको ऑलरेडी देखा है और इन्होंने जो बताया है उसको। और एक चीज और इसमें हम लोगों को ध्यान देना चाहिए कि राइटिंग वन टाइम ए गुड नोट इज नॉट एनफ। थोड़ा आप प्रैक्टिस अगर करेंगे, लिखने का प्रैक्टिस करें, कुछ अपना वोकेबुलरी बढ़ाएं और थोड़ा सा रूल्स और जो प्रोसीजर्स हैं उसके बारे में थोड़ा जानें, अपने यूनिवर्सिटी का है, अपने इंस्टीट्यूशन का, या जनरल डेवलपमेंट क्या हो रहा है। दैट विल हेल्प यू इन एनालाइजिंग द केसेस, बिकॉज सिंपली राइटिंग वर्बेटिम या ये जो बार बार मैडम भी बता रही थी कि उसका कोई पर्पस सर्व नहीं है। कैसे आप एनालिसिस करेंगे अगर आपको उसके बारे में पूरा आइडिया नहीं है। तो अच्छा एक्सरसाइज किया, तो लेट अस कम्प्लीमेंट आवरसेल्फ दैट वी हैव एटलीस्ट devoted some time, and we should give a big hand to madam that she took so much time to go through your assignment and give her valuable feedback on this. तो अब हम लोग आज के टॉपिक पर आते हैं। आज का टॉपिक थोड़ा आड़ा तिरछा टॉपिक है, इट्स लिटिल हेवी टॉपिक। तो लेट अस सी how we are making going to make it as easy as possible. तो देखते हैं, लेट अस स्टार्ट। लगा दीजिए। तो आज का टॉपिक है एथिक्स एंड वैल्यूज इन पब्लिक गवर्नेंस। तो ये बताएं, बिफोर वी स्टार्ट द टॉपिक, एक मैं किताब दिखाना चाहता हूं आप लोगों को। तो पहला ही स्लाइड लिख लीजिएगा। एक विक्टर फ्रैंकल की एक किताब है, विक्टर फ्रैंकल, मैन सर्च फॉर मीनिंग। हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव रेड दिस बुक? हैव यू सीन दिस बुक एवर? और हैव यू हर्ड ऑफ विक्टर फ्रैंकल? विक्टर फ्रैंकल के बारे में कभी सुना है?
यस सर।
विक्टर फ्रैंकल जरा बताएं, विक्टर फ्रैंकल के बारे में सुना है तो?
Actually, I have not read this book till now, but this is in my cart, and I came to know that it is written in the context of Second World War.
Yes,
That was, pardon sir?
थोड़ा बताएं उसके बारे में।
तो वो जो कंसंट्रेशन कैंप था, और उसमें वो actually he was a doctor or perhaps some kind of professional who was put in the concentration camp. एंड आफ्टर द सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर वाज ओवर, एंड वो एक लाइफ की एक फिलॉसफी वो अपनी देते हैं कि चूंकि मैंने बुक पढ़ी नहीं है तो मैं ज्यादा डिटेल नहीं बता पाऊंगा, मुझे थोड़ा सा कॉन्टेक्स्ट पता है।
नो, वेरी 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 राइट। आप एकदम सही, कॉन्टेक्स्ट आपके पास सही पता है। और ये ही वाज अ पर्सन हु वाज पुट इन कंसंट्रेशन कैंप एंड देयर वाज अ स्ट्रगल एवरी डे ऑफ लाइफ एंड डेथ, बट ही वाज a trained psychologist, trained doctor. So he saved lives of many people. He saved his own life, and then based on his experience, he developed this book, Man's Search for Meaning. क्यों इस कंटेक्स्ट में हम आपको बताना चाहते हैं ethics and value also gives you a meaning. If you are looking for a meaning in your life, you may have to live a very ethical and value based life. तो इस कंटेक्स्ट में हम सब लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे कि एक बार इस किताब को जरूर पढ़िए। बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है, ये 150 पेज का है, 155 पेजेस, एंड दिस इज नॉट ए हेवी बुक, बट दिस इज अ मस्ट रीड बुक। और आपको बहुत अच्छा लगेगा जान करके कि आफ्टर ऑल हमारे जीवन का उद्देश्य क्या है, आप क्यों जीना चाह रहे हैं, है ना। और उस कंटेक्स्ट में आप ये देखें कि ये एथिकल और वैल्यू बेस्ड लाइफ का क्या पर ये कितने फायदे हैं। तो हम लोग आते हैं अब प्रेजेंटेशन की तरफ। हो गया? चलिए हम लोग देखते हैं नेक्स्ट स्लाइड कीजिए। देखिए, एक उपनिषद से एक कोट किया हुआ है यहाँ। जो हम लोग अभी चर्चा कर रहे थे, ये कहता है कि यू आर व्हाट योर डीप ड्राइविंग डिजायर इज, क्या आपके अंतर मन में चल रहा है, वो बड़ा एक निर्णायक चीज है। दैट्स द ड्राइविंग फोर्स। यू आर व्हाट योर डीप ड्राइविंग डिजायर इज, एज योर डिजायर इज सो इज योर विल। जो आप जीवन में प्राप्त करना चाहते हैं, यू वांट टू get it, and then you are determined to get it. As your will is, so is your deed. नहीं, कई बार ऐसा देखा गया है कि people select a particular service, even civil services, even in state government services. It lot of studies are going on, and this is clearly coming out today that your performance is not a direct predictor of your knowledge and experience. Much more depends on what is driving you, what are the value system that you are holding, what are your beliefs, what meaning you are trying to make in your life, what meaning you are searching for. These things are driving your actions. ये उपनिषद में है. So as your will is, so is your deed, and as your deed is, so is your destiny. नहीं, हम लोग रोज व्हाट्सएप पर वी कीप ऑन सर्कुलेटिंग कर्मा फिलोसफी एंड एवरीथिंग. सो एज योर डीड इज, सो इज योर डेस्टिनी. ये बृहदारण्य उपनिषद जो हम लोगों का जो शास्त्र हैं, उपनिषद हैं, उनसे लिया गया है. चलिए नेक्स्ट. ये महात्मा गांधी का एक स्टेटमेंट है. ये ऊपर का कट क्यों जा रहा है, उसको हटाइए. वो उसको देखेंगे. मैन इज अ प्रोडक्ट ऑफ हिज थॉट्स. दिस इज व्हाट महात्मा गांधी हैज सेड. Man is a product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes. मैं इसलिए ये कहना चाह रहा हूं कि ये बहुत फिलॉसफी में बहुत डिबेट चलता रहता है. It keeps on going as to whether how thoughts are guiding our actions, how thoughts are helping you understand, reach the truth, or it is the objective reality. तो उस सब के डिबेट में नहीं जा करके हम ये मान के अभी चलें कि how our thoughts are shaping our actions, how our thoughts are driving us. ये महात्मा गांधी का है. तो अब हम लोग रुकिए. तो बिफोर वी टेक अप द डिस्कशन पार्ट, एक मैं फिल्म दिखाना चाहूंगा आप लोगों को. दिस फिल्म इज ए साइंटिफिक स्टडी बाय ए नोबेल लॉरिएट. अपने नाम सुना होगा, डैन एर्ली. ही वाज ए नोबेल लॉरिएट इन बिहेवियरल इकोनॉमिक्स कुछ साल पहले, एंड ही डेवलप्ड ए थियोरी ऑफ इरेशनलिटी. उन्होंने ये कहा कि हम जो डिसीजन लेते हैं और हम जो करते हैं, जनरली वी हैव ए परसेप्शन दैट वी टेक ए रैशनल डिसीजन बीइंग ए ह्यूमन बीइंग, बट द रिसर्च सेज दैट मोस्ट ऑफ आवर डिसीजंस आर इरेशनल, है ना. And there is a pattern in this irrationality. And then he developed the full theory of behavioral economics, and then he was awarded Nobel Prize also. And this was the gentleman who conducted a study on general public as well as university students as to why people lie. And this is a TED talk that he gave, and this has come out as a small video film about why we think it's okay to cheat and steal. And this is a full scientific study. तो देखते हैं यहाँ, अगर मूवी हम लोग देख पाते हैं तो ये चलेगा. देखते तो नहीं. हाँ, चलेगा, नहीं चल रहा है.
they would drip. And the nurses told me two things. Well, not much, there wasn't much I could do. Examine this question, maybe learn something about the world. So that's what I did. I was still interested in this question of how do you take bandages of burn patients. So originally, I went to a hardware store and I bought a carpenter's, and I would crunch it for long periods and short period. But I would ask them, so how painful was this? Or how painful? I would ask them this for a while. And then, like all good academic projects, I got more funding. I moved to sounds, electrical shocks. So I even had a pain suit that I could get people to feel much more pain. Duration in the way that we encode intensity, phase which was much more painful, and all of these would have been great things to do, and my nurses had no idea. And from that point on, I started thinking, are the nurses the only people in the world who get things wrong in this particular decision, or is it a more general case? And it turns out it's a more general case. There's a lot of mistakes we do. And I want to give you one example of one of these irrationalities, and I want to talk to you about cheating. And the reason I pick cheating is because it's interesting, but also it tells us something, I think, about the stock market situation we're in. So my interest in cheating started when Enron came on the scene, exploded all of a sudden, and I started thinking about what is happening here. Is it the case that there is kind of a few apples who are capable of doing these things, or are we talking about an endemic situation that many people are actually capable of behaving this way? So, like we usually do, I decided to do a simple experiment, and here's how it went. If you were in the experiment, I would pass you a sheet of paper with 20 simple math problems that everybody could solve, but I wouldn't give you enough time. When the 5 minutes were over, I would say, pass me the sheet of paper, and I'll pay you $1 per question. People did this, I would pay people $4 for their task, and everything would solve 4 problems. Other people I would attempt to cheat. I would pass the sheet of paper, when the 5 minutes are over, I would say, please shred the piece of paper, put the little pieces in your pocket or in your backpack, and tell me how many questions you got correct. People now solve 7 questions on average. Now, it wasn't as if there was a few bad apples, a few people did it a lot. Instead, what we saw is a lot of people. You were running this for a while. You were wonderful people with good intentions and plenty of experience, and nevertheless, they were getting things wrong predictably all the time. It turns out that because we don't encode duration in the way that we encode intensity, I would have had less pain if the duration would have been longer and the intensity was lower. It turns out it would have been better to start with my face, which was much more painful, and move toward my legs, giving me a trend of improvement over time that would have been also less painful. And it also turns out it would have been good to give me breaks in the middle to kind of recuperate from the pain. All of these would have been great things to do, and my nurses had no idea. And from that point on, I started thinking, are the nurses the only people in the world who get things wrong in this particular decision, or is it a more general case? And it turns out it's a more general case. There's a lot of mistakes we do. And I want to give you one example of one of these irrationalities, and I want to talk to you about cheating. And the reason I pick cheating is because it's interesting, but also it tells us something, I think, about the stock market situation we're in. So my interest in cheating started when Enron came on the scene, exploded all of a sudden, and I started thinking about what is happening here. Is it the case that there is kind of a few apples who are capable of doing these things, or are we talking about an endemic situation that many people are actually capable of behaving this way? So, like we usually do, I decided to do a simple experiment, and here's how it went. If you were in the experiment, I would pass you a sheet of paper with 20 simple math problems that everybody could solve, but I wouldn't give you enough time. When the 5 minutes were over, I would say, pass me the sheets of paper, and I'll pay you $1 per question. People did this, I would pay people $4 for their task, and average people would solve 4 problems. Other people I would tempt to cheat. I would pass the sheet of paper. When the 5 minutes are over, I would say, please shred the piece of paper, put the little pieces in your pocket or in your backpack, and tell me how many questions you got correctly. People now solve 7 questions on average. Now, it wasn't as if there was a few bad apples, a few people who cheated a lot. Instead, what we saw is a lot of people who cheat a little bit. Now, in economic theory, cheating is a very simple cost-benefit analysis. You say, what's the probability of being caught? How much do I stand to gain from cheating? And how much punishment would I get if I get caught? And you weigh these options out, you do the simple cost-benefit analysis, and you decide whether it's worthwhile to commit a crime or not. So we try to test this. For some people, we varied how much money they could get away with, how much money they could steal. We paid them 10 cents per correct question, 50 cents, $1, $5, $10 per correct question. You would expect that as the amount of money on the table increases, people would cheat more, but in fact, it wasn't the case. We got a lot of people cheating, but still by a little bit. What about the probability of being caught? Some people shredded half the sheet of paper, so there was some evidence left. Some people shredded the whole sheet of paper. Some people shredded everything, went out of the room, and paid themselves from a bowl of money that had over $100. You would expect that as the probability of being caught goes down, people would cheat more, but again, this was not the case. Again, a lot of people cheated, but just by a little bit, and they were unsensitive to these economic incentives. So we said, if people are not sensitive to the economic rational theory explanations, to these forces, what could be going on? And we thought maybe what is happening is that there are two forces. At one hand, we all want to look at ourselves in the mirror and feel good about ourselves. So we don't want to cheat. On the other hand, we could cheat a little bit and still feel good about ourselves. So maybe what is happening is that there's a level of cheating we can't go over, but we can still benefit from cheating at a low degree as long as it doesn't change our impressions about ourselves. We call this like a personal fudge factor. Now, how would you test a personal fudge factor? Initially, we said, what can we do to shrink the fudge factor? So we got people to the lab and we said, we have two tasks for you today. First, we asked half the people to recall either 10 books they read in high school or to recall the 10 commandments. And then we tempted them with cheating. Turns out the people who tried to recall the 10 commandments, and in our sample, nobody could recall the 10 commandments. But those people who tried to recall the 10 commandments, given the opportunity to cheat, did not cheat at all. It wasn't that the more religious people, the people who remembered more of the commandment, cheated less, and the less religious people, the people who could remember almost any commandment, cheated more. The moment people thought about trying to recall the 10 commandments, they stopped cheating. In fact, even when we give self-declared atheists the task of swearing on the Bible and we give them a chance to cheat, they don't cheat at all. Now, 10 commandments is something that is hard to bring into the education system, so we said, why don't we get people to sign the honor code? We got people to sign. I understand that this short survey falls under the MIT honor code. They shredded it, no cheating whatsoever. And this is particularly interesting because MIT doesn't have the honor code. So all this was about decreasing the fudge factor. What about increasing the fudge factor? First experiment, I walked around MIT and I distributed 6 packs of Cokes in the refrigerators. These are common refrigerators for the undergrads. And I came back to measure what we technically call the half-lifetime of Coke. How long does it last in the refrigerator? And you can expect it doesn't last very long. People take it. In contrast, I took a plate with 6 $1 bills and I left those plates in the same refrigerator. No bill was ever disappeared. Now, this is not a good social science experiment. So to do it better, I did the same experiment as I described to you before. A third of the people, we passed the sheet, they gave it back to us. A third of the people, we passed it, they shredded it, they came to us and said, Mr. Experimenter, I solved X problems, give me X dollars. A third of the people, when they finished shredding the piece of paper, they came to us and said, Mr. Experimenter, I solved X problems, give me X tokens. We did not pay them with dollars, we paid them with something else. And then they took this something else, they walked 12 feet to the side and exchanged it for dollars. What about the following intuition? How bad would you feel about taking a pencil from work home compared to how bad would you feel about taking 10 cents from a petty cash box? These things feel very differently. Would being a step removed from cash for a few seconds by being paid by token make a difference? Our subjects double their cheating. I'll tell you what I think about this in the stock market in a minute. But this did not solve the big problem I had with Enron yet, because in Enron there's also a social element. People see each other behaving. In fact, every day when we open the news, we see examples of people cheating. What does this cause us? So we did another experiment. We got a big group of students to be in the experiment, and we prepaid them. So everybody got an envelope with all the money for the experiment, And we told them that at the end, we asked them to pay us back the money they didn't make. Okay? The same thing happens when we give people the opportunity to cheat. They cheat just by a little bit, all the same. But in this experiment, we also hired an acting student. This acting student stood up after 30 seconds and said, I solved everything. What do we do now? The experiment said, if you finished everything, go home. That's it. The task is finished. So now we had a student, an acting student, that was a part of the group. Nobody knew there was an actor. And they clearly cheated in a very, very serious way. What would happen to the other people in the group? Will they cheat more or will they cheat less? Here is what happens. It turns out it depends on what kind of sweatshirt they're wearing. Here's the thing. We ran this at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. And at Pittsburgh, there are two big universities, Carnegie Mellon and University of Pittsburgh. All of the subjects sitting in the experiment were Carnegie Mellon students. When the actor was getting up, was a Carnegie Mellon student, who was actually a Carnegie Mellon student, but he was a part of their group. Cheating went up. But when he actually had the University of Pittsburgh sweatshirt, cheating went down. Now, this is important because remember, when the moment the students stood up, it made it clear to everybody that they could get away with cheating. In the experiment, they said, you finished everything, go home, and they worked with their money. So it wasn't so much about the probability of being caught again. It was about the norms for cheating. If somebody from our in-group cheats and we see them cheating, we feel it's more appropriate as a group to behave this way. But if it's somebody from another group, these terrible people, I mean, not terrible in this, but somebody we don't want to associate ourselves with, another university, another group, all of a sudden people's awareness of honesty goes up, a little like the Ten Commandments experiment, and people cheat even less. So what have we learned from this about cheating? We've learned that a lot of people can cheat. They cheat just by a little bit. When we remind people about their morality, they cheat less. When we get bigger distance from cheating, from the object of money, for example, people cheat more. And when we see things of cheating around us, particularly if it's a part of our in-group, cheating goes up. Now, if you think about this in terms of the stock market, think about what happens. What happens in a situation when you create something where you pay people a lot of money to see reality in a slightly distorted way? Would they not be able to see it this way? Of course they would. What happens when you do other things, like you remove things from money? You call them stock or stock option, derivatives, mortgage-backed securities. Could it be that with those more distant things, it's not a token for 1 second, it's something that is many steps removed from money for much longer time? Could it be that people would cheat even more? And what happened to the social environment when people see other people behave around them? I think all of those forces worked in a very bad way in the stock market. More generally, I want to tell you something about behavioral economics. We have many intuitions in our life. And the point is that many of these intuitions are wrong. The question is, are we going to test those intuitions? We can think about how we're going to test this intuition in our private life, in our business life, and most particularly when it goes to policy. When we think about things like No Child Left Behind, when you create new stock markets, when you create other policies, taxation, healthcare, and so on. And the difficulty of testing our intuition was the big lesson I learned when I went back to the nurses to talk to them. So I went back to talk to them and tell them what I found out about removing bandages. And I learned two interesting things. One was that my favorite nurse, Etty, told me that I did not take her pain into consideration. She said, of course, it was very painful for you, but think about me as a nurse, removing the bandages of somebody I liked and had to do it repeatedly over a long period of time, creating so much torture was not something that was good for me too. And she said maybe part of the reason was it was difficult for her. It was actually more interesting than that because she said, I did not think that your intuition was right. I thought my intuition was correct. If you think about all of your intuitions, think about it's very hard to believe that your intuition is wrong. And she said, given the fact that I thought my intuition was right, she thought her intuition was right, it was very difficult for her to accept doing a difficult experiment to try and check whether she was wrong. But in fact, this is the situation we're all in all the time. We have very strong intuitions about all kinds of things. our own ability, how the economy works, how we should pay school teachers. But unless we start testing those intuitions, we're not going to do better. And just think about how better my life would have been if these nurses would have been willing to check their intuition, and how everything would have been better if we just start doing more systematic experimentation of our intuitions.
तो दूसरा डिस्कशन है. So, participants, have you seen this experiment? Had you seen this before? This is a very serious experiment on why people cheat. So can anybody recall the one or two elements that was discussed in this video? So why people cheat? Anybody from the participants online? Could you watch this video? Participants online, could you watch this video?
Sir, to be frank, we actually could not get clarity of what he was saying. Therefore, we don't understand much. Frankly.
Let us discuss. At least those who have been able to get some clarity, let us come out with one or two points as to what was those points mentioned by the presenter. The presenter Dan Ariely is a behavioral economist, and he is a Nobel laureate also, and he did an experiment on why people cheat. So can anybody mention one or two elements that he was trying to highlight in this video?
For self-gratification?
Just what was the highlight? What was the outcome of that experiment? He was mentioning a lot of things as to why people cheat.
Sir, we could not collect the things, sir.
Anybody from this hall? आप लोगों ने देखा इस वीडियो को? इसमें क्या उन्होंने हाईलाइट करने की कोशिश की? कुछ ऐसा अंग्रेजी बोल रहा था जो समझ नहीं पाए. एक one thing that he was trying to mention. Anybody who anybody trying to say something? Now, one thing that he was trying to say that everybody wants that he should have a very good image, and he thinks very good of himself, as well as he wants to maintain a very good image outside also, to others also. लेकिन वो ये देखना चाहते हैं कि they would like to cheat a little bit without tarnishing their image. The moment they feel that if they cheat more, and there is a propensity, there is a chance of getting caught and being punished very severely, they will be deterred. तो थोड़ा सा चलता है, इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. अब जैसे take for instance, जैसे हम कहते हैं ना, suppose we have a time to reach office 9 o'clock, but every time we feel भाई 10-15 मिनट तो चलता है, तो इससे हमारा इमेज भी खराब नहीं हो रहा है. हम बहुत पंक्चुअल और प्रॉम्प्ट समझे भी जा रहे हैं, but you are stealing 10-15 minutes of your office time. Similarly, at lunch time is for half an hour. If you have to reach in a meeting, you are coming 15 minutes late, and you feel that by this way your image is not tarnished. और ये this kind of small cheating accumulates into a very high proportion, and you will be surprised to know that 80% of tax evasion in United States is because of a small cheatings, not big cheating. ये जो छोटे छोटे एक्युमुलेशन है, क्योंकि आपको लगता है कि मेरा इमेज तो खराब नहीं हो रहा है, लेकिन ये थोड़ा मोड़ा चलता है, ये एक बहुत बड़ा फैक्टर है which is denting your individual productivity, it is denting your organizational productivity. क्योंकि थोड़ा थोड़ा करके बहुत ज्यादा हो रहा है ना। दूसरा, अदर एलिमेंट दैट केम आउट इज द सोशल इन्फ्लुएंस। हम लोग क्यों आज ये बात कर रहे हैं this ethics and values in governance? Because we are working in an organization, we are all individuals, we have our own lives, but we are working in an organization, we are working for a set of people, we have our own clientele to serve, we are part of society. So social influence is very important. जैसे आपके बहुत सारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जहां पर यू फील एंड यू हैव ए परसेप्शन कि भाई ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन तो बहुत गड़बड़ है, यहाँ तो कुछ भी काम ठीक से नहीं हो सकता, नहीं। और वहां आप जाते हैं एंड द सोशल द कल्चर इज सच दैट इवन ए गुड पर्सन either you become a part of that culture or you ultimately you become fed up and then you leave. तो उसने एक एक्सपेरिमेंट दिखाया कि देयर वर टू सेट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स who were supposed to write some test. One was from Pittsburgh, another was from Carnegie Mellon. एक में एक लड़के ने चीट किया एंड बिकॉज दिस इज ए नॉर्म, दूसरे ने भी सोचा कि भाई वो भी चीट कर रहा है, ये भी चीट कर रहा है, मैं भी थोड़ा चीट कर लूंगा। सोशल इन्फ्लुएंस इज क्रिएटिंग ए बिग प्रॉब्लम इन एनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। अगर आपका ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल कल्चर ऐसा है विच हैज जीरो टॉलरेंस पॉलिसी, भाई हम प्रोक्योरमेंट में, इफ देयर इज प्रोक्योरमेंट there will be zero tolerance. If people are in recruitment, if people are doing wrong, there will be zero tolerance. If you are not serving your client, primarily your client is your faculty members and students, अगर उनका प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, there will be no let up. The administration, the management will take it very seriously. ये एक कल्चर अगर आपका बनता है तो सिचुएशन विल बी डिफरेंट। दूसरी जगह जहां ये नहीं है वहां you everybody has encountered this kind of situation in our lives. बहुत सारे और ऐसे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जहां आप जाएंगे, you don't have the trust there. ये दो तीन चीजें जो इसका है, तो इसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट को, so this is a evidence based experiment, और इसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट को हम लोग आज we are trying to understand in a larger perspective as to what is the role of value and ethics in governance, because everything is part of value and ethics and your integrity as to how you conduct yourself. चलिए next slide. आप लोगों ने कभी ये मूवी सर्च किया था इसको देखने के लिए क्यों चीट करते हैं? बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट एक्सपेरिमेंट किया गया था, बहुत पुराना नहीं है, नया ही है। नेक्स्ट, सो नाउ वी कम टू
एग्जांपल क्या था
वो इरेशनलिटी के, कैसे आप इरेशनल आप डिसीजन लेते हैं। क्योंकि डिसीजन मेकिंग का क्लास नहीं है, अदरवाइज दैट वुड हैव बीन वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग कि हाउ वी टेक इरेशनल डिसीजंस। So now we come to defining the values. So what the value is? Principles and moral standards of a person or a social group. Okay, अभी हम लोगों ने एक एक्सपेरिमेंट के थ्रू we have just seen that how social influence impacts your behavior. So values are norms to guide your or to set a standard even for the individual or the social group. हम लोग ये देखेंगे कि how these values are important in life and where from these values have come and what are those values that we should cherish as an individual and as a social being. Next, अब चलते रहिए. So now you see these are some of the values that everybody cherishes: love, peace, right conduct, non-violence. These are the most important values in life. Everybody cherishes that. Right? Love and compassion is important. Non-violence is important. Peace is important. If there is no peace, there is no prosperity. If there is no truth, there is no trust. Things cannot move. कई बार हम कहते हैं ना ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में भी there is trust deficit. तो कैसे सर डिसीजन लें, कैसे काम करें? So these are important values that everybody cherishes in life. Next. तो अब हम देखें कि व्हाट वैल्यूज आर, उस बार को नीचे ले आइए, जो बार है ऊपर वाला बार नीचे आएगा, नीचे ले आएगा और नीचे ठीक. So what values are? So we have seen that this is a moral standard. जैसे आप कहते हैं ना कि ध्रुव तारा की तरह से आपको दिखाई देता रहता है. So this is a lamp post for you. So what these values are? Values are feelings and convictions. What is of a strong worth? अब क्यों यहाँ strong? Why strong worth? क्यों values है? अगर if you look at the dictionary meaning, आप कहते हैं ना किसी चीज का कि ये बड़ा valuable है. This pen is very valuable. Or this jewelry is very valuable. नहीं, this gift is very valuable to me, because you feel very strong worth about it. आपको लगता है, you feel that this should be cherished, this should be preserved, this should not be wasted. ये कोई चुरा के ना ले जाए. अभी हम लोग एक shipwreck, we were visiting a place in Atlantic Ocean recently, and then we came across a shipwreck, and then we picked up a little bit of, that was prohibited, but as Indians we picked up a little bit of a piece of that ship, and then that was framed, and that became a very valuable memorabilia for us, that we had visited that shipwreck and the Atlantic Ocean. So you have started attaching importance, worth, value to it, right? So whatever you feel that it is of a strong worth to you, you consider it valuable. Similarly, these principles or standards of behavior in your judgment, which is worthwhile, becomes your value system. And these values are defined by your society, by your community, by your group. If you are working in an university has a value system. अब इसका एक सबसे बड़ा वैल्यू सिस्टम है, द एग्जामिनेशन शुड बी ट्रांसपेरेंट, द एडमिशन प्रोसेस शुड बी ट्रांसपेरेंट एंड फेयर. दिस इज द वैल्यू सिस्टम. You go all out, you do everything to ensure that your admission process, your examination process is transparent and fair. If these two systems have broken down, nobody is going to have faith in your organization, in your university. तो आप एक similarly, if there is another department, जहाँ health care department है, जहाँ दूसरे department है, you know that the test they conduct, that is 100% correct. There is no no chance of hera-pheri in the pathological test and other tests that is conducted. So why we take the test conducted by Lal Path's lab or the AIMS or some other hospitals as a Pakka report? Because they have a value system. So as an organization, then this value system becomes a part of a group. Similarly, for different society, different values are part of a group. Different value systems are suggested. जैसे बहुत सारे ऐसे, अगर ऐसा सोसाइटी है जहाँ if the value system is, भाई किसी तरह से, if you have amassed of, if you have gathered so much of money, और आप बहुत बिल्डिंग बना लेते हैं, बहुत and you spend a lot of money on the social functions, or you buy 100 2 or 3 buildings in 3 different cities. If the society has a value system of glamorizing you, फिर आपको लगेगा कि यही करना सबसे अच्छा है. बहुत जगह ऐसा हो रहा है, बहुत सारे ऐसे सोसाइटीज हैं जहां ऐसा हो रहा है. People glamorize, भाई उसने come what may, but he has been able to construct 3-4 houses in purchase 2-3 plots in 2 different cities, 3 different cities, construct 2-3 different houses, or buy, purchase 2-3 different houses instead of one. Had a huge house constructed in his native place, but what is he doing? He is living beyond his means. What is he doing? He is simply an Anganwadi worker, and mainly into supplying the midday meal. I have come across some people, and if the society is glamorizing then that will become a norm. So society को एक, so whatever norm is there, so if we think that this is not the moral standard, the moral standard is something different. If we set some principles, some moral standards, and we prohibit people from doing that, and that becomes our value system. That forms the part of our value system. ये value system हम इसको कहते हैं कि ये this is a normative aspect of our social behavior. ये norm है. There are many things which do not do, and there are many things which are allowed to be done. So, and the basis of this is what you consider worthwhile to do. समझे? यहाँ से ये value system. Now let us move. Next. Next. So now you see that what are the universal value systems? What are those human value systems? So universal value system across all cultures. There are many. Love, compassion, taking care of helping the community. These are universal value systems. चाहे हम अपने यहाँ भी ये लें, कबीर का आप लीजिए, क्या क्या बोलते थे कबीर कि साईं इतना दीजिए जामे कुटुंब समाए, मैं भी भूखा ना रहूं, साधु न भूखा जाए. So that was a moral standard that he said. भाई हमें इतना ही दीजिए, मैं भी भूखा ना रहूं, और जो कोई हमारे दरवाजे पर आए वो भी भूखा ना जाए. If you go to another European system, you go to the USA, every community has its own value system, and there are certain things which are common. Every society wants to take care of the community, because this is also what the education suggests. आप यूनेस्को का देखें कि यूनेस्को टॉक्स अबाउट एजुकेशन. व्हाट इज द अल्टीमेट एम ऑफ एजुकेशन? Taking care of the community. If you are not becoming relevant for the community, so then there is no purpose of your being educated. So these are the value systems which are universal across the cultures, across the nationality, and that we have seen. And this value system brings the society together, brings the community together. You become a part of the global citizen. आजकल एजुकेशन में भी क्या कहा जा रहा है? You have to ultimately become a global citizen. So this inclusiveness has to be there. If your value system, or if your things which divides, which breaks down, that is not being cherished. जो जिससे आप बांटते हैं चीजों को, जिससे जोड़ते हैं चीजों को, that is more worthwhile. So the value system, these universal value systems, this is inclusive. This binds together. Next. So these are some of the cherished value system, which is universal, which is global, like truth, honesty, dedication to work, non-violence. देखिए, dedication to work is one of the cherished value system. We will come to that. Non-violence, compassion. How compassion has helped, or how compassion helps even in organization. Courage, perseverance. किसी काम को कंप्लीट करने का जो ये होता है, जज्बा होता है, that is called perseverance. That you have at any cost this work is to be completed. You know, there are many people who leave the work midway and they go away. सर ये तो बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, ये तो हमसे होने वाला नहीं है, किसी और को बोल दीजिए, वैसे भी मेरा घर में कुछ काम है. So there are many people who do not rise to the occasion. So this perseverance is one of the cherished value system. Self-discipline, loyalty. There are many people who lack in this thing, loyalty, because this loyalty is never accepted as a good value system. Or so these are the cherished value system, which is universal and which is inclusive.
Sir?
Yes, somebody is asking something?
Yes, sir. Sir, do you think these all points are somewhere interconnected with each other?
Yes, interconnected with each other. अभी देखिए, this is the interconnecting point. So this is there in all our shastras, and especially this has appeared. This statement has appeared in Mahabharata and our Manusmriti. Dharmo
जी
rakshati rakshata.
so
Dharma is not a religion here. Dharma is your duty. So if you are doing your duty, you will be protected. So the dharma protects those who protect it. So this is interrelated. So dharma क्या है? Those higher value systems that you are upholding. So if you look at, so this value system is the pole, is the beacon light for you. जैसे हम कहते हैं ना, दिस इज द नॉर्थ स्टार, कि आपको कुछ दिखाई नहीं देता है, देन यू लुक एट, भाई आपका वैल्यू, यू लुक एट योर वैल्यू सिस्टम, वो क्या कहता है. तो आप एक वैल्यू सिस्टम को देखते हैं एंड यू आर गोइंग बाय दैट वैल्यू सिस्टम. फॉर इंस्टेंस, अगर आप किस इंस्टीट्यूशन में हैं?
सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ पंजाब बठिंडा में.
Bhatinda. So do you have some tagline for your institution, or do you have some vision statement or like that?
Sir, no, not so far. We have vision and
आप देखिएगा
mission,
जरूर
but we
होगा,
don't have that tagline.
कुछ लोगो होगा या कोई टैगलाइन होगा या कुछ होगा.
जी
So that indicates your value system.
जी.
But the sum and substance is that those who are protecting or those who are discharging their duties in their lives, they are respected. They enjoy the place, most respectable position in the society. So these value systems should be guiding you when you are conducting yourself in your day-to-day life. So how these value systems will help you and guide you, that we will see later on. आगे बढ़िए. So now we look at the ancient foundations of values. चलिए आगे बढ़िए. अब ये देखें कि कई बार हम सोचते हैं कि हम when we are talking of धर्म और ये, so is it a particular religion? No, it is not a particular religion. Across the religion, across the society, the philosophers, the saints, the seers, जो हमारे the कुछ कहना है क्या? बैठिए थोड़ा. So they have come out with certain essence. They have come out with certain things which is timeless, जो समय के साथ खत्म नहीं हो रहा है. जैसे मोसेस जिसके बाद ये क्रिश्चियन धर्म, ये क्रिश्चियन और सबके ये पहले थे मोसेस, उनका 5 कमांडमेंट, जो 10 कमांडमेंट्स बात अभी हम सुन रहे थे. सो दोज 5 कमांडमेंट्स आई हैव लिस्टेड हियर व्हिच आर currently relevant for us in this context. So see, Moses 5 commandments: thou shalt not kill, not bear false witness, not steal, not covet anything that is thy neighbor's. तो जीसस क्राइस्ट ने भी तो वही कहा, to love your neighbor as thyself. आप अपने पड़ोसी को भी उसी तरह से प्यार करें जितना प्यार आप अपने को करते हैं. And this will help you in living in the community of nations, in the society. You will become a relevant part of the society. Next, similarly, the 5 ethical commandments of Confucius, जो कि बुद्धा के बहुत क्लोज थे. Zen, service of or doing good to others. Yi, truthfulness. Propriety, proper conduct, correct behavior. Xian, truth, trustworthiness. अब देखिए ये एक चाइनीज सोसाइटी का है. एक दूसरा जो है जिसमें कि अभी ये इजराइल में और ये यहूदी और बाद में इवन की मोहम्मदन, उनके भी ये गुरु थे मोसेस, और क्रिश्चियनिटी के ये थे. उन्होंने क्या कहा? एंड दिस चाइनीज फिलोसोफर कन्फ्यूशियस, व्हाट ही हैज सेड. So these are different societies, different cultures, but you see how these things are common. और ये कॉमन चीजें, how this is helping you to conduct yourself in your day-to-day life. चलिए नेक्स्ट. अब इंडिया में लेट अस सी what is there in Indian text and Indian philosophy. So sources of moral ideals in India, we have some two different major sources, and like Shruti, the Vedas are the main sources, then Smriti, the Vedants or the epics like Mahabharata, Ramayana, or even Dharmashastra, Puran. All these things are containing those moral ideals which are being followed by all of us partly or like that. तो यहाँ जो मेन मोरल आइडियल्स जो मनुस्मृति का हम लोग लेते हैं, so let us see what मनुस्मृति says. Next आइए. Next Manusmriti. So Manu was one of the lawgivers, but he has given a common thing, ahimsa. He says that ahimsa, satyam. Ahimsa is harmlessness, truth, honesty, cleanliness, restraint of the senses from erring ways are duties of man in brief. So we have seen the Moses, Christianity. We have seen Confucius, the Chinese society. We are seeing the Indian society. Next. Buddha's 5 virtues. Do not kill. Be truthful. Do not slander, not lie. Take from none by greed or force or fraud. Take from none by greed or force or fraud. ये बुद्ध का ये जो 5 जो उनके ये वर्चूज हैं. Have a clear mind, clean body, shun drinks and drugs. So all these things are there which the Buddha says. तो अगर इन चीजों को आप अपने ध्यान में रखते हैं, तो you can see that it is everywhere. These are the common universal values that is there in the different societies. Next. Then see Muhammad's command: slay none. God has forbidden it. Except justice required. Avoid false words. झूठ ना बोलें. नहीं. Intoxicants are Satan's own device. They who avoid, so like that, Muhammad also says the same thing. मेरे कहने का ये मतलब है कि these are certain values which are worthwhile and that should be kept in mind when in your day-to-day conduct. चलिए आगे. So now we come to, so ये तो हमारे ancient philosophy में है. Now we come to see in the present modern context that what are the secular and democratic ideals. So these are the great thinkers like Hobbes, Locke, Voltaire का नाम सुना होगा. Rousseau was instrumental. Voltaire and Rousseau was instrumental in bringing French Revolution. So they have also talked of secular values and liberal ideas of human dignity. आज हम हमारा जो the biggest universal value is dignity of human being. नहीं, आप लोगों ने एक कोई किताब का नाम सुना? एक किताब है फ्रांसिस फुकुयामा की एक किताब है. There is one book by Francis Fukuyama, Identity. Have you heard of this book or have you seen that book? So if you read that book, you will come to know as to how things are taking shape and what is the importance of human dignity today. Because human dignity is at the core of everything. So in the modern democratic system, these secular values and this liberal ideas of human dignity, that is inalienable. इसको हम कहते हैं ना कि भाई कुछ भी करें, लेकिन जो ह्यूमन डिग्निटी है उसको तो हम आप छोड़ नहीं सकते. नहीं. नेक्स्ट. मैं ये क्यों आपको बता रहा हूं कि कैसे ये धीरे धीरे हमारे कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट में आया. देखिए अमेरिकन डिक्लेरेशन. so now they have started emphasizing this human dignity. All men are equal, that they are endowed by their creator with great inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness. These are inalienable rights. This is the American Declaration of Independence. और अभी देखिए pursuit of happiness, life, liberty and pursuit of happiness, ये हर जगह अभी बात होने लगी है हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स की. आप अपने लाइफ में भी सोचने लगे. आप किसी से पूछते हैं, इफ यू आस्क समबडी हाउ आर यू, या आप उससे ये पूछते हैं कि अच्छा भाई तुम्हारा जो ये यूनिवर्सिटी वाला बैंक अकाउंट में है उसमें कितना पैसा और जमा हो गया, या उससे ये पूछते हैं कि खुश हो ना, व्हाट डू यू आस्क हिम? व्हाट इज योर क्वेश्चन?
ठीक चल रहा है।
सब ठीक चल रहा है, सब कुछ है, या ये पूछते हैं कि आपका उस वाले बैंक अकाउंट में कितना जमा, आपके उस लॉकर में आपने कौन सा और ज्वेलरी जाके उसमें रखा, बंद कर देंगे. सो दिस परसूट ऑफ हैप्पीनेस इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट, और एंड दैट इज बिकॉज you are looking for a meaning in your life, and the meaning of life is your pursuit of happiness. और ये सब, and this life, liberty and pursuit of happiness is inalienable for everybody. So these are the universal values which is guiding us. चलिए नेक्स्ट. अब ये देखें कि as an individual and as a worker there are two things, your values and your skills. जरा देखिए इसको, नहीं तो उसमें मिल जाएगा, लेकिन तो बहुत पढ़ना पड़ेगा, ये बहुत पढ़ने के बाद इतना निकाला गया है इसको. अभी थोड़ा लग सकता है थोड़ा बोरिंग, बट प्लीज ट्राई टू पे अटेंशन टू दिस. सो वी हैव सम स्किल्स, बट इफ वी डोंट हैव वैल्यूज व्हाट विल हैपन? जैसे हम कहते हैं ना कि वो आदमी ही इज वेरी क्लेवर, वेरी इंटेलिजेंट एंड बीइंग वेरी क्लेवर. किसको आप पसंद ज्यादा करें? बहुत चालाक आदमी जिसको कहते हैं ये बड़ा चालाक आदमी है, डू यू लाइक दैट चालाक आदमी? चालाक आदमी को नहीं पसंद करते हैं, दो ही इज वेरी इंटेलिजेंट एंड वेरी एफिशिएंट. सो सी, दिस इज अ मैट्रिक्स ऑन व्हिच on the one side it is value and another side is a skill. तो ऊपर में प्लस है और नीचे में माइनस. सपोज द पर्सन इज विद वेरी हाई वैल्यूज बट वेरी लो स्किल, तो ये बहुत काम का नहीं है. बहुत ईमानदार है लेकिन किसी काम का नहीं है, ज्यादा से ज्यादा दरवाजे पर बैठा रह सकता है. नहीं, जो वेरी लो वैल्यू एंड वेरी लो स्किल, तो कहते हैं भाई इसे पीछा छुड़ाओ, इसको तो कुछ आता जाता भी नहीं है और कोई उसका अपना वैल्यू सिस्टम भी नहीं है. तो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ पीपुल यू आर लुकिंग फॉर और यू आर ट्राइंग टू बिकम? एंड तीसरा है लो वैल्यू एंड हाई स्किल. सो पीपुल में हैव वेरी हाई स्किल, बहुत तेज है, लेकिन बड़ा सयाना है, वो उल्टे सीधे काम करेगा, तो ही इज द वर्स्ट. हु इज द बेस्ट? द पर्सन हु हैज हाई स्किल विथ हाई वैल्यूज. So we have seen the value system, and then now we are trying to understand how this value system and our skills and our conduct and our behavior that create us a complete human being and a complete and a good worker. Next. ये देखिए what are the, so now we are trying to understand the category of public service values. आप इसको बाद में और देखेंगे. नेक्स्ट हम लोग चलते हैं. So now you see that how different governments have created different value parameters for their employees. Based on this value system, universal value system, secular and liberal ideas of dignity and everything, different national governments have created different kinds of value system for their public servants. एक one example is Irish public service. Ireland government ने क्या तैयार किया? Impartiality is one of the main value system. Political neutrality. Even India में भी, if you read a good book, any good book of public administration, there is a canon of administration, and the canon of good administration is anonymity, neutrality, and impartiality. So you are impartial, you are neutral. Neutral means political neutrality, because there may be government of different. Even if as a citizen you may be having a propensity for one particular party, but if some other party is coming into power and they are there, तो क्या आप उनके स्कीम और उनके प्रोग्राम आप नहीं रन करेंगे? So that way, as a civil servant, you are politically neutral. Impartiality, political neutrality, and anonymity. तो हम लोग क्या करते हैं कि हम ही बाहर में अपने जाते हैं अपने इन लॉज के यहाँ, दूसरे के यहाँ, मैंने ये कर दिया, मैंने यूनिवर्सिटी में ये चेंज ला दिया, मैंने तो ये होने नहीं दिया. So that is not required. Anonymity. You are only a part of a system. So these are the canons. So what do they say? Irish Public Service, they have listed out impartiality, political neutrality, recruitment and promotion based on merit, proper disclosure of information. तो यहाँ information नहीं disclose करते ज़्यादा. Sympathetic, this is one of the values. Efficient and courteous dealing with the public. आपको मालूम है अभी जो इवन के सिविल सर्वेंट्स का जो प्रमोशन हो रहा है, ज्वाइंट सेक्रेटरी एंड अबव, इट इज नॉट सोनली बेस्ड ऑन देयर एसीआर और एपीएआर. अभी एक पूरा का पूरा टीम है व्हिच डज 360 डिग्री इवैल्यूएशन ऑफ दैट इंडिविजुअल, एंड दैट टीम गोज ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द कैबिनेट सेक्रेटेरिएट, एंड दे डू 360 डिग्री इवैल्यूएशन कि आपका ऑफिस में आप कैसे काम कर रहे हैं, हाउ आर यू बिहेविंग विथ योर कलीग्स, हाउ आर यू बिहेविंग विथ योर क्लाइंट्स, हाउ आर यू बिहेविंग विथ द पॉलिटिकल रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स, हाउ आर यू बिहेविंग विथ द फॉरेन डिग्निटरीज. So like that, there are umpteen number of observations, parameters on which your behavior is observed or a record is made, and then based on that, along with your annual confidential report, then your empanelment is considered. So 360 degree evaluation. So 360 degree evaluation is जरूरी है. How are you dealing, whether you are courteous with public or not. मैं था, I was advisor governance and policy for National Commission for Scheduled Caste for some time. कोरोना के टाइम में बहुत सारे लोग आते थे कंप्लेन लेकर के, एंड देन आउट ऑफ पता नहीं उनको क्या होता था, they would come very close to me to tell narrate their entire story, and I was not able to tell them that please be at a safe distance, क्योंकि उनको जैसे ही कहता कि अब से वहां दूर से बात करें तो उनको लगता था कि ये थोड़ा सिंपैथी इनका कम हो गया है, एंड इन द प्रोसेस आई कॉन्ट्रैक्टेड कोविड. फिर मैं बहुत दिन तक बीमार हो गया उस चक्कर में. लेकिन ये नॉर्मल केसेस, your courtesy to the public and the client whom you serve, that is very much required. नहीं तो अगर आप जो client serve कर रहा है, so this is one of the cherished public service values which the Irish government has suggested. Efficiency and diligence in work, avoidance of the use of improper influence. अभी हर चीज के लिए जरा सा भी छोटा ट्रांसफर भी होता है तो we start receiving lot of ये पैरवी, और मिनिस्टर का भी, दूसरी जगह का भी, एमपी का भी, और फलाना. तो improper influence, avoidance of conflict of interest, ये एक बहुत बड़ा इशू है. How many of you are aware about conflict of interest? Can you suggest any instance of conflict of interest? आप लोग conflict of interest?
Sir, I have seen in our university system, in fact, maybe it is all pervasive phenomenon. For instance, if there is a committee and if any of the relatives of the committee members appear for any interview, then such members are expected to recuse because of the conflict of interest.
So this is a major thing even in research and teaching. In research, this has become a serious issue about the conflict of interest. आपको मालूम होगा कि इसरो में एक बहुत सीरियस केस हुआ था with anthrax, and the ISRO chief was booked for this conflict of interest some time back. A contract was awarded to the anthrax, and that was a major case. Political भी बहुत सारे issues हुए हैं इसमें conflict of interest में, but that apart, but this is one of the avoidance of conflict of interest is one of the cherished values that the Irish government has suggested. यहाँ भी है, इंडिया में भी है, दूसरे गवर्नमेंट का हम लोग देखते हैं. दूसरा देखते हैं. नेक्स्ट. So now you see in the New Zealand Public Service Code of Conduct. जैसे हम लोग कहते हैं ना कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट ये क्यों है, तो द फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल इज पब्लिक सर्वेंट शुड फुलफिल देयर लॉफुल ऑब्लिगेशन टू द गवर्नमेंट विद प्रोफेशनलिज्म एंड इंटीग्रिटी. सो नाउ यू सी दिस इंटीग्रिटी हैज स्टार्टेड सरफेसिंग. प्रोफेशनलिज्म क्या? मेरिट. what the Irish government has suggested that cases should be decided on merit. ये नहीं कि आप हमें आदमी बताओ हम रूल बताएंगे. It should stand on its own. So that is professionalism, not our personal association is important. क्या हो रहा है इसमें problem? That because I know you, maybe I will support your proposal. This is not that. Whether the proposal is worth supporting or not, that is professionalism. If it is worth supporting, that will be supported. If it is not worth supporting, it will not be supported. नहीं, ये नहीं कि हम साथ साथ रोज लंच करते हैं और ये करते हैं, साथ में करते हैं, साथ में post lunch we take a walk also, gentle walk, and then we catch up with so many things. And so लोग तो बहुत अच्छा आदमी है, I know him, he is a good friend of mine, we take lunch together. So you send him a request for releasing some or giving 2 more contractual staff for your office. Though you are already having 4, other divisions are suffering, but because of your proximity, you feel that 2 more persons will come. So ये professionalism नहीं. Second principle is public servants should perform their official duties honestly, faithfully, and efficiently. We see that even in the last discussion also we were talking about efficiency. So this is one of the principles of the New Zealand Public Service Code of Conduct. Third is public servants should not bring the public service into disrepute. तो हमारा जो code of conduct है, that unbecoming of a government servant, this act of yours is unbecoming of a government servant. Why government servant has an image, so government servant's image should not come into disrepute. So these are the principles which have been prescribed, and these are the principles and moral standards which should guide you in taking or conducting yourself and taking or behaving or should be a guiding principle for your behavior. Next, अब हम लोग इंडिया का देखते हैं. So in 2007 the public service bill was introduced, and see, these are the values value of public services which was listed out: patriotism and upholding national pride, allegiance to the constitution and law of the nation, objectivity. See how common it is with other governments public system value: objectivity, impartiality, honesty, diligence, courtesy, and transparency. This is now the act. So maintain absolute integrity. अभी आपको पता होगा CBC ने 2-3 साल पहले या 2019 में they conduct one lecture program, so they issue as a theme. So one year, perhaps in 2019, the theme was integrity as way of life. This was the theme that the CBC has issued for all the departments to discuss this theme. So maintaining absolute integrity. So these are the value systems for people, and this will become act. 2007 में पास हो गया था. From the government, from the president in January, and became effective. So why this value system? Why this value system? To guide you in your day-to-day behavior. और वो guide करने के लिए क्यों? नहीं तो आप कहते हैं ना कि बंदा बोलता कुछ है और करता कुछ है. So you should not have a split behavior, personality. जो बोले वो करे, तो वो क्यों? विवेकानंद ने क्या कहा उसने? Anything that makes us whole is ethical. जो आपके पर्सनालिटी को, आपके व्यक्तित्व को भी अगर which divides is unethical. That which connects is ethical. So anything that fragments us is unethical, and that which joins us, which makes us whole, is ethical. तो आप देखें कि ethical का क्या मतलब है? कुछ पूछना है? हाँ ले लीजिए. हाँ ठीक है, ले लीजिए. So we will take up the ethics part after 10 minutes break. So, and if you have any question, please ask it, because we will be able to understand this topic as much as after discussion.
We will take a 10 minutes break. After that, we will come back. If you have any questions and queries, then you can raise your question after the break. Thank you.
Okay. कि क्या वैल्यू सिस्टम नहीं. Participants have joined, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Everybody has joined? So,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So far we have discussed value systems and the different sources of value systems. So any question you have, anybody? Because now we will take up the ethical aspect. So any question, any query that you have? Anything that is bothering your mind about the value system? Nothing is bothering you.
In the government employment is the compulsory component, no? Otherwise, disciplinary action will be taken against you if you are not following your values. Whatever is defined in conduct rule. So, like,
नहीं value systems का क्या how are you understanding this value system?
You will make absolute integrity.
You will maintain absolute integrity. So this is a value system. This is a value system.
But it is compulsory also for the government employees. Otherwise, disciplinary action can be taken if you are not following. Isn't it? Because we have the first thing is that you have to do everything which is unbecoming. You will not do anything which is unbecoming, means a government employee.
Of a government employee.
And you will make absolute integrity.
Maintain absolute integrity in your conduct. In your conduct.
If you are not doing that, there is provisions in our also. Our superior boss can write. He did not maintain. We have doubts on some doubt on his integrity. So there is some accents also defined in the rules.
But everything is based on certain value system. Truthfulness, dedication to work. Why this is important? Suppose you are in examination department, and then you by your action, a group of students are favored, a group of students are disfavored. That is not a good thing to do. No. So your system, you maintain a system which is transparent, which is fair. So transparency and fairness as a value, how will you bring into your actions? So transparency and fairness, integrity is a value system that you have to bring into day-to-day working. Maybe tomorrow you are in admission system. Maybe on the other day you are posted in the financial management, finance system, audit system, and somebody is asking you to sanction the LTC, leave travel concession, for which he is not entitled. So or sanction the house building advance beyond his entitlement. Like that it can happen. So integrity, honesty, truthfulness, all these things. तब आप सोचते हैं ना उस समय कि ये करना चाहिए हमें कि नहीं करना चाहिए.
If you will not do, we will be penalized.
कैसे? अगर if the person is not entitled, अगर आप करेंगे, if you are sanctioning the person the LTC for which he is not entitled, you will even otherwise will be punished for that. If you are sanctioning it, नहीं sanction. Entitled नहीं है तो आप कैसे sanction करें? Suppose somebody is not entitled to travel by air, or government has issued an instruction that you have to buy tickets only through 3 designated travel agencies, Palmer Lorry and Ashok Tour and Travels and other things, and IRCTC, and you and somebody has done it through some travel agent. And then what is happening later on? You come to know that the travel agent passes a portion of the commission to the individual also.
Whether that act is a part of value or it is a compulsory
No,
value.
so integrity is your value system, and this integrity will demonstrate in how you are doing your work in your office. Are you maintaining high integrity? So integrity is your value system, and not permitting an non-entitled person to travel by air is your action. So it is translating into
We
action.
are bound to follow these values.
Yes. So value, if there is a value system before you, then only you will be conducting yourself properly in your personal life as well as official life. That is the crux of it. So now we come to so far we have seen that there are certain universal values, certain universal human values across the societies. Chinese society also says the same thing. Confucius says the same thing. Moses and Christianity says the same thing. Hazrat Muhammad also says the same thing. Our Indian philosophy also says the same thing. And all these philosophies, all our saints and seers, they say the same thing, that maintain high integrity, be honest, be कर्तव्य परायण. गीता में आप जानते हैं, there is a tagline in Masuri Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy for where the IAS officers are trained. Do you know what is the tagline? Yoga karmasu kaushalam. So if you are doing your work with excellence, that will give you the same pleasure as if you are doing some yoga. योग करने का pleasure है. So this is a tagline there. That this is their value system. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. कोई भी काम आप करें. So this is a value system, and this will then translate into. So we have seen that there are certain common things in all the value system, and then based on this, not only in our ancient time, but even in modern times, we see that these secular values or liberal democratic values, this places high premium on the dignity of human being, and dignity of human being is your choices, the freedom to make choices. So I हम नहीं कहते हैं कि यार हम तुम्हारा मान सम्मान, तुम्हारे विचारों का मान सम्मान करते हैं. तो क्यों मैं विचारों का मान सम्मान करता हूं? सिर्फ दोस्ती इसलिए नहीं है कि every time he says yes to me, he may say that see what you are doing, though you are my friend, but you see what you are doing is wrong. I am not going to be a party to this. So he has made a choice. So in modern times also, and then based on all this, we have also seen that how this value system and your skill. So what kind of person is very useful to the society, very useful to the organization, highly useful to the organization? We see that a person who has high value system and the high skill, only such persons are useful for the organization. नहीं तो हम नहीं कहते हैं बड़ा चालाक बंदा है भाई, इससे दूर बच के रहना. ये जानकार तो बहुत है, लेकिन तुम्हें कहां फंसा देगा पता नहीं. बहुत जो चालाक है उससे तो आप दूर रहना चाहते हैं ना. So he is very skilled, but he has no value system. So then we see that how different governments have prescribed the public service values. So you have seen the examples of Irish government, you have seen the examples of New Zealand government, and we are also seeing the examples of our own government. So certain basic principles are prescribed by all these governments as which forms the bedrock or the core of our value system. So the core value systems have been prescribed by all these governments for civil service. So this is going to help you in what? In your day-to-day working and taking a decision, making your choices. आप तो एक डिसीजन लेते हैं ना अपने लाइफ में. So you are taking decisions in your life. So you are taking decisions or helping in taking a decision. जैसे आप हमने नोटिंग ड्राफ्टिंग में क्या देखा, that you have to suggest a course of action. You have to give some recommendations as to what should be done. So what is guiding you to take that particular decision? What is guiding you to take that particular decision? So your value system will guide you to take that particular or suggest that particular course of action. And then the person who is taking a decision, they are also guided by their certain value system, certain organizational value system, certain personal value system that will help them in taking a decision. I give you an example. So he was mentioning about my tenure in KVS. I give you an example. So there is a provision in KVS in their education code for summary dismissal of teachers. Summary dismissal. No full-fledged proceeding will happen in certain cases where the teachers are not behaving properly with the students. They will be summarily dismissed. So that was challenge. They first they went to the court sent us. In the meantime, they also went to the RTI commission, information commission, and one information commissioner he called me. He summoned me. I went there. He was asking that you disclose to the complainant the actual complaint that was made, and the complaint was made by one girl student from class 9. So I told him that, sir, I am not going to disclose this complaint to anybody because this is going to be detrimental and this is not this will violate the dignity of the person. बोला नहीं, ये तो आरटीआई एक्ट में है, आपको करना पड़ेगा, अदरवाइज यू विल इम्पोज पेनाल्टी एंड तो हमने कहा कि सर जो भी करना है आप कीजिए, आई विल गो टू द हाई कोर्ट फॉर रिड्रेसल एंड बट आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू डिस्क्लोज इट because I was going by a personal value system that no matter come what may, I am going to ensure that the dignity of the person, that girl student, is not jeopardized. So that was my value system, and I did not disclose. Till date, that information commissioner is a good friend of mine. लेकिन हमने नहीं किया, उनको हमने बोला, उन्होंने रिजर्व कर दिया अपना ऑर्डर. दे ही गेव मी सच एन ऑर्डर जिसमें कि थोड़ा उसको डिस्क्लोज करने का भी था, कुछ नहीं था. देन आई वेंट टू द हाई कोर्ट. उनको बता दिया कि आई एम गोइंग टू द हाई कोर्ट एंड वी गॉट अ डिसीजन. तो आपको you are always guided. So when you are taking a decision, who is guiding you? So we will see as to how then this value system then translates or guides you in taking in day-to-day decision. आप तो घर में भी डिसीजन लेते हैं ना, घर में भी डिसीजन लेते हैं. आप बच्चों को भी कहते हैं, कोई कुछ मना करते हैं, उसको कहते हैं कि नहीं बेटा ये करना ठीक नहीं है, नहीं तुम्हारा ये ऐसे करना सही नहीं. किस बेसिस पर कहते हैं? बिकॉज यू आर गाइडेड बाय सर. नहीं, हमारे पुरखों ने ऐसा कभी नहीं किया, ऐसा कैसे तुम करोगे, इससे तो हमारे परिवार की इज्जत खत्म हो जाएगी. नहीं, तो सो देयर आर सर्टेन वैल्यूज. सो यू हैव ए फैमिली वैल्यू सिस्टम, यू हैव ए सोशल नॉर्म, एंड देन देयर आर सर्टेन इंस्टीट्यूशंस जहां पर ये भाई यहाँ ये नहीं चलेगा, यहाँ हेरा फेरी नहीं चलेगी. मान लीजिए कि अगर इस तरह का ये कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट अगर रिसर्च और एजुकेशन में हो, तो अब क्या आपका कंट्री डेवलप कर पाएगा? कैन नेवर हैपन. सो नाउ वी सी so how it then boils down into our ethical behavior. चलिए आगे हम लोग बढ़ते हैं. So any other question if the participants have, please ask me about the value system.
Sir,
Yes.
I just need your advice. What is your take? Sometimes your value system collides with the culture at your workplace. So how we should deal with that?
Yes, it's a very important question. We will come to that. So there are certain we will come to a point where we will discuss all these things.
Sure, sir, sure.
In fact, I will preempt that discussion. We should have a value system that is called principled working. If you read the book by have you read a book this is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey, or any other book for personal effectiveness and personal upliftment or like that. So this principled working is one thing that you should keep in mind, and that will help you a great deal in working in any department and handling any situation. Why I am telling you? I can tell you from my personal example. I was designated because there are 2-3 areas in governance which is highly vulnerable, highly sensitive. One is recruitment, another one is purchase. The third one is use of discretionary powers. So I was looking after the purchase of World Bank project. The World Bank project was of 240 million US dollar. 12 Arab ka. It was 12 Arab project. And can you imagine what was my portfolio for that project for purchase? 450 crores. And that time I was only an undersecretary. Then we completed that project and another project came. That was of 250 million US dollar. That was another World Bank project. And I was again designated by the Government of India as procurement officer for that project. And my portfolio was 375 or something crores in that project again. So total 1000 crores project. Procurement only. But till date, I can say you that till date, nobody approached me for doing anything which is not proper. Threats came, many things came, but we understood that, we faced that. And in agriculture, I was the person who disqualified Food and Agricultural Organization from participation. They went to the World Bank against me. But based on my recommendation, the procurement policy of the World Bank was amended at that point of time. So in 2004, the major change was made in the World Bank procurement procedure. This gentleman, he was in KVS. I did a recruitment of some 8,000 teachers and non-teaching staff in Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan. So we have one participant here. He has worked in Kendriya Vidyalaya. So I was Deputy Commissioner Administration. So can you tell me, so how many candidates I might have interviewed? Or I might have arranged the interview for selection of 8,000 teachers? After written examination, so every time I used to conduct a written examination and in which some 3 lakh to 4 lakh candidates used to appear. KVS mein to appear hote hain. And then how many candidates I might have interviewed? 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000. Any guess? Wild guess? 86,000 candidates I had interviewed. 86,000. Because 1:10 is का ratio है ना वहाँ. 1:10 का ratio है, so 8,000 teachers were selected. So minimum 80,000 plus non-teaching staff थे. But till date there is no such any complaint, not a single complaint. Not a single complaint. There was only one complaint, and then I called the candidate और उसको हमने copy दिखा दिया कि भाई ये है. Now you come with your people and you tell them to make again the assessment, and if they are satisfied, if they are not satisfied, then they should make a representation. उन्होंने खुद ही कहा कि भाई पूछ रहा इसमें तो the question is something else and she has replied something else, so there is no point in her representation. Not a single complaint. So we manage the system in such a way. The transparency, fairness, and all those things were maintained with very high order. तो कहने का ये मतलब है कि if you are, अच्छा उस समय my phone was the same number 24/7. This was open. Lot of ministers, right from Minister, Education Minister to down the line, people would call me. I survived. तो कहने का ये मतलब है कि your principled working will help you in surviving the rough and even the rough weather in your life as well as एक जीवन का एक दर्शन लेके चलना पड़ेगा ना कि आपको करना क्या है. Hope I have been able to answer a part of your question. क्या किसने पूछा था? Who raised this question? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
So So could you get a part of your query answered?
To some extent, sir. Yes, but
Principled working आपको
sir,
करना
I think sometimes it's very difficult to put your value systems when such circumstances arises, but it's okay, no problem.
सर
नहीं, फिर आप एक मूवी वो जो है ना, एक ये देखिए कि आप अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी का एक छोटा सा क्लिप है, आप देखिए उनका योगः कर्मसु कौशलम का। उसमें वो क्या कहते हैं कि आपकी अपनी महत्वाकांक्षाएं हो सकता है, लेकिन आपकी अपनी महत्वाकांक्षा और आपका अपना वैल्यू सिस्टम सोसाइटी के वैल्यू सिस्टम से, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के वैल्यू सिस्टम से ऊपर नहीं हो सकता है। राष्ट्र सर्वोपरि है, समाज सर्वोपरि है। तो जब आप इस तरह से उसको रिकॉन्साइल करने की कोशिश करेंगे, इफ यू आर ट्राई, अनलेस यू रिकॉन्साइल दीज थिंग्स, otherwise you will be always at conflict in your mind. Like I think like this, but they are suggesting. So you have to reconcile that your value system, you are having one value system, but if it is good for the society or the larger society, things like that, you have to reconcile with that. ठीक है, डिस्प्रूव होगा तो वो अलग बात है, लेकिन ये राष्ट्र के हित से ऊपर आपका वैल्यू सिस्टम नहीं हो सकता है, ये हमें ध्यान में रखना चाहिए। और राष्ट्र हित को अगर ध्यान में रख के करते हैं, ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल हित को ध्यान में रख के करते हैं, तो आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ योर दिस कॉन्फ्लिक्ट वुड बी रिजॉल्व। एनीवे, हम लोग आगे बढ़ते हैं। देयर कैन नॉट बी ए डेफिनेट रेसिपी फॉर ऑल योर।
सर, may I say something?
Yes, go ahead please.
Sir, actually, as I feel, your value system stops when the values of your seniors or your interference started. If you start your value system and if your seniors interrupt in it, no, to do this in this way, so you have to stop. You have to up to some extent, you have to stop yourself and do in what manner your boss, your seniors want to do the same.
वो फिर वैल्यू सिस्टम की बात आप नहीं कर रहे हैं, ये तो आप डे टू डे वर्किंग में विदाउट एनी वैल्यू आप बात कर रहे हैं कि डे टू डे इंटरफेरेंस इज नॉट गाइडेड बाय एनी वैल्यू सिस्टम। उसके लिए आपके यहाँ कोई सिस्टम बना है कि नहीं, पहले ये देखने, हम लोग देखेंगे कि कैसे हम सिस्टम बनाते हैं, सो दैट विल हेल्प यू इन डूइंग ए प्रिंसिपल्ड वर्किंग। सो लेट अस सी, प्लीज डोंट बी इम्पेशेंट। हम लोग देखते हैं, हम लोग इसी डिस्कशन के लिए आज हैं, क्योंकि ये थोड़ा सा ट्रिकी, दिस इज अ ट्रिकी एरिया एंड वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड। गुड दैट यू हैव रेज्ड दिस इशू।
ठीक है।
नेक्स्ट, so now we have discussed, so far we have discussed about the value system. Now we are discussing about the ethics. So what is ethics? तो ethics क्या है? आप देख रहे हैं इसमें एक तराजू है, तो on the one side it is right, on the another side is wrong, and then in the middle the lever is ethics. So what does it mean? Next. So it means that that if you are behaving ethically, you are behaving or you are making right choices. So you have the capacity to differentiate between what is right and what is wrong, and this value system is helping you to differentiate between what is right and what is wrong and making the right choice. And once you are making right choices, that creates mutual trust in the organization, in the society, in the family. घर में भी आप ये तो फेस करते हैं, घर में फेस करते हैं ना, कि अगर बच्चों के सामने अगर आप या परिवार में आप आंख से आंख मिला के बात नहीं कर पाते हैं, तो इसका मतलब है कहीं न कहीं चोरी हो रही है, कहीं ना कहीं चोरी है, उसमें ट्रांसपेरेंसी नहीं है। और कोई भी रिलेशन, चाहे वो फैमिली रिलेशन हो या फैमिली से बाहर का रिलेशन हो या ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल रिलेशनशिप हो या कोई भी, अगर इसमें इफ देयर इज नो ट्रस्ट, नो म्यूचुअल ट्रस्ट, दैट मीन्स द सिस्टम कैन नॉट वर्क। So you have to create trust, and that trust is built on your ethical behavior. That means you are making right choices. If you are making wrong choices, then You are not going to create that trust. जैसे हम क्यों अभी कह रहे थे कि अरे वो बंदा बहुत चालाक है, बहुत शातिर है, कहाँ तुमको वो गिरा देगा उसका पता नहीं. तो ये जो right choice है, so your value system helps you in taking right decisions, in making right choices. So this is how we are doing. Now you see. So ethic is क्या? So thus it is a benchmark of human behavior. वो हमने वैल्यू को देखा, that is a standard, moral standard, but this is a benchmark for human behavior. The way you conduct yourself, the way you make choices, the way you take decisions. So this is a benchmark for that. और ये किससे गाइडेड होता है? Influenced by the intellect of the individual to judge action or choices in life in different situations. In different situations, and not so in there may be different situations, tricky situations, simple situations, but this if you have a moral framework, if you consider something important in your life, that will help you. अब जैसे मान लीजिए कि कई बार आपको ये लगता है कि ये काम मेरे मन के लायक नहीं, ये तो मैं नहीं करूंगा, या बहुत पैसे वाला भी काम है लेकिन मैं नहीं करूंगा क्योंकि मेरे मन को अच्छा नहीं लगता. So that is helping you in making a choice. So this way, this helps you in taking a ethical decision and making a choice in life in different situations. Next. So what does it mean to be ethical? It is simple. So इसका सबसे सिंपल तरीका क्या है? जैसे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में आप कह रहे हैं कि sometimes they start interfering. What will come to your help? भाई वहां कुछ तो सिस्टम होगा, कुछ तो रूल्स रेगुलेशन होंगे, कुछ तो प्रोसीजर होगा. Every organization has a system. Every organization has some rules and procedure. Every organization has some these norms and processes. तो आप उसके बारे में तो बता सकते. Even if there is deviation, मैं एक आपको एग्जांपल बताता हूँ. I was working in that World Bank project, and then a situation came to waive one bidder who was not 100% meeting the condition of the bidding. But we had a feeling that probably they will be doing a good job, but then they were not meeting the norm 100%. So what we did? हमने क्या किया होगा? We went to the government. हमने मिनिस्टर ऑफ फाइनेंस को अप्रोच किया, उनको बताया कि दिस इज द डेविएशन, बट बाय डेविएटिंग दिस लिटिल बिट 10% deviation, we are going to save the government some 50 lakhs of rupees. Similarly, with the same proposal, in the same case, with the same proposal, we went to the World Bank, because World Bank was also was the main funding agency in that particular project. So we went to them, and then a consensus was arrived that, okay, we are agreeing to this decision, that with this 10% of deviation, we are going to accept this bidder and allow them to supply. But the same decision, if there is a similar case in future, we will again apply the same condition consistently. ये नहीं कि अभी आपने किया और अगली बार आप नहीं करेंगे. हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं कि हम एक केस में तो कर देते हैं, दूसरे केस में नहीं करते हैं. So if you are taking a decision which is in the interest of your organization, which is in the interest of your society, but that decision has to be, same decision has to be applied consistently in similar situation. ये नहीं कि दूसरे में सिमिलर सिचुएशन है तो नहीं साहब इसमें तो नहीं करेंगे, नहीं मीट कर रहा है क्योंकि हम तो इसको जानते भी नहीं है. तो जान पहचान से नहीं बात बनी. तो कहने का मतलब ये है कि there are certain laws, certain rules that helps you in making a principled decision. आपका काम है, if you are facing a problem at your level, if you are assistant registrar, you bring out all the facts, you make an analysis, you quote the different rules, and you also quote the regulations and everything and leave it to them. Sir, आप decision ले लो. The highest authority, they may be having a wider perspective. They may take a decision. I will implement that. My limited role was to bring out all the facts correctly, to bring out to quote all the rules and regulations which are applicable in this case honestly, and if even despite this a different decision is taken based on different perspective, because at your level you may not be having the full information. So on a higher level, if it is thought that there is a need to take a unprecedented decision, because that is going to be a path breaking decision, you take it, we will implement that decision. तो ये आपको, बट योर कॉन्सेंस विल बी क्लियर, भाई आपने आपको आपका जो एरिया है उसमें आपने अपनी बात कह दी, दैट इज द प्रिंसिपल डिसीजन. कई जगह ऐसा होता है कि व्हाट अबाउट द कॉन्सेंस, सो समटाइम्स यू फॉलो रूल्स एंड ये, लेकिन कई बार कॉन्सेंस हमारा कॉन्सेंस अलाउ नहीं कर रहा है कि ऐसे करना चाहिए. वहां भी एक आपको उस समय एक बड़ा एक क्वेश्चन खड़ा होता है कि इस केस में क्या करें. देन यू टेक रिकोर्स टू हायर वैल्यू सिस्टम कि भाई इसमें क्या, आर यू रियली सर्विंग द सोसाइटी, आर यू रियली सर्विंग द नेशन. कई बार कई चीज छुपाना पड़ता है, कई बार कई चीज छुपाना पड़ता है जो कि इन द हायर इंटरेस्ट. नहीं तो मान लीजिए कि आप बहुत बार ऑनेस्टी, भाई ऑनेस्ट रहना चाहिए, आप ऐसी बात बोल दिए एंड दैट क्रिएट्स राइट इन द यूनिवर्सिटी, दैट मे क्रिएट ए सिचुएशन. कहीं वहां दंगे हो गए, कहीं कुछ हो गया, पूरा एग्जामिनेशन सिस्टम वो गड़बड़ हो गया. तो आपको यू हैव टू बी लिटिल, यू हैव टू वे ऑल दीज थिंग, और उसमें विदाउट कंप्रोमाइजिंग एनीथिंग अपने कॉन्शियस की बात, अंतरात्मा की बात सुनिए, और जो वहाँ रूल्स प्रोसेसेस हैं उनके आधार पर प्रिंसिपल वर्किंग कीजिए. दैट विल हेल्प यू क्रिएटिव. सो एथिक्स इज it is also, it is complying with the laws, rules or regulations, and also at sometimes listening to your conscience. कि आपका conscience अगर कहता है कि ऐसे करना चाहिए तो ठीक है, you bring it on the paper and leave it for the decision makers to take a decision on that. आपका conscience तो clear रहेगा उसमें, नहीं? चलिए next. So what are the sources of ethical norms? कई बार आप सोचते हैं कि क्या है, ये सारे sources हैं. ऐसे फैमिली है, फ्रेंड्स है, फेलो वर्कर्स हैं, रीजन्स ऑफ कंट्री, एक इंडिविजुअल के कॉन्शियंस के लिए ये सोर्सेज हैं. इन सब सोर्स से आपको जो पता चलता है कि एक्चुअली क्या जरूरी है, क्या करना चाहिए जीवन में, क्या सही है, क्या उपयोगी चीज है, सोसाइटी एट लार्ज, एम्प्लॉयर. सो ऑल दीज आर दीज सोर्सेज फॉर द कॉन्शियंस ऑफ इंडिविजुअल.
वो क्लियर तो है ही, गड़बड़ है उसमें.
कुछ आप बताना चाह रहे हैं क्या?
आपको पूनम ने क्या समझाया था?
नहीं, आप माइक ऑफ कर लीजिए. ठीक है. Participants, please keep your mic on mute. Only when you want to make a point, please unmute your mic. So these are the sources of ethical norms. Next. So now we come to the question of integrity. जैसे हम कहते हैं कि high integrity. So he is a person of high integrity. So a person has ethical integrity to the extent that the person's actions, beliefs, methods, measures and principles are all consistent with a well integrated core group of values. Consistent. कई बार आपको लगता है प्रॉब्लम क्या हो रहा है कि कई बार हम पार्ट में चीजों को देखते हैं, नहीं यार ऐसे होना चाहिए, फिर सडनली व्हेन अदर सिचुएशन वी विल सडनली चेंज. सो दिस integrity is everything should be consistent with the core values. ये जो consistency है इसको देखने की बड़ी जरूरत है, whether the principles, the methods, the actions are all consistent or not. नहीं तो कई बार आप ऐसा सोचते हैं, कहते हैं ना कि बंदा बोल तो रहा, हाँ हाँ कर तो रहा है, लेकिन हेल्प नहीं करेगा ये, नहीं क्यों? वो हाँ तो बोल रहा है अभी, लेकिन हमारी मदद नहीं करेगा। क्योंकि आप देखते हैं कि उसका जो बोलना, उसका जो एक्शन, उसकी आंख में आंख डाल के आप देखें तो उसमें एक कमिटमेंट नहीं दिख रहा है, और उसका ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड ऐसा नहीं रहा है। इज नॉट ए हेल्पिंग काइंड। वो देख लेगा कि अच्छा इसको ये प्रॉब्लम है, चलो इसका हम फायदा उठा लेते हैं, ऐसे भी आपको लोग मिलेंगे। तो दीज पीपुल आर नॉट पीपुल ऑफ इंटीग्रिटी। So a person who has high ethical integrity, it should be seen in actions, beliefs, methods and the principles, और कंसिस्टेंसी के साथ, तभी तो आप राइट चॉइस करेंगे। एंड इफ यू आर कंसिस्टेंटली मेकिंग राइट चॉइसेस, ऐसा नहीं है कि लाइफ में ऑल चॉइसेस आर राइट ऑलवेज, देयर आर चांसेस ऑफ यू आर गेटिंग falling down or not making right choices, but there those chances will be limited. तो right choice अगर आप करते हैं, consistently करते हैं, then you are considered a person of high integrity, high ethical standard, a person with high moral standard. Your behavior is considered to be highly ethical. तो कहते हैं ना बड़ा ethical आदमी है, ये एग्जामिनेशन में पेपर में ये बढ़ाएगा नहीं आपका नंबर। बहुत बहुत जगह है लोग नंबर बढ़ा देते हैं फॉर डिफरेंट रीजन, लेकिन ये है कि जो है वो आपको अवार्ड करेगा। आपका थेसिस है, नो इन्फ्लुएंस इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू। इफ द थेसिस इज वर्थवाइल, you will be awarded your degree. If it is not worthwhile, you will not be awarded the degree. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो आपके जान पहचान का है तो कर दे। So many things happen in institution, हम लोग यहाँ भी होता है। तो ये हम जो अब हम थर्ड लेयर में आ रहे हैं, कि मोरल वैल्यूज हमने देखा, एथिकल बिहेवियर हमने देखा, और इंटीग्रिटी विच इज ए कंसिस्टेंट बिहेवियर इन मेकिंग योर चॉइसेस, कंसिस्टेंट पैटर्न इन टेकिंग डिसीजंस। चलिए नेक्स्ट। तो ऐसा क्यों होता है? बिकॉज वी ऑलवेज सफर दिस डिलेमा, एथिकल डिलेमा। डिलेमा क्या है? व्हाट इज एथिकल डिलेमा? व्हाट इज एथिकल डिलेमा? डिलेमा सुना है आपने? दुविधा, दुविधा की स्थिति होती है ना, कि दुविधा में क्या करें, करें या ना क्या करें, इसमें क्या करें। इसमें दुविधा में क्या होता है? देयर आर टू चॉइसेस एंड बोथ द चॉइसेस आर डिफिकल्ट। अगर इजी चॉइस है तब तो दुविधा है ही नहीं, अगर बिल्कुल क्लियर चॉइस है तब देन देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम, बट बोथ द चॉइसेस आर डिफिकल्ट। व्हाट टू डू, व्हाट नॉट टू डू? सो एज एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर you are always facing ethical dilemma, क्या करें? And that is the reason we are always emphasizing to work to do a principled working. Principled working आप करें, which will take care of much of your ethical dilemma. So there are three different situations. An individual called agent must make about which course of action is best. तो पहले आप ये देखें कि which course of action is best. तो बेस्ट होगा तो बेटर भी होगा, दूसरे भी डिसीजंस होंगे। एंड देयर मस्ट बी डिफरेंट कंडीशंस टू चूज फ्रॉम। सो देयर आर, दुविधा का मतलब है कि देयर आर डिफरेंट कंडीशंस, ये पिकअप करनी है, एंड दीज आर नॉट परफेक्ट सिचुएशंस, दीज आर नॉट इजी टू पिक अप, एंड देयरफॉर इट इज डिलेमा। एंड एज गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट, एज फैमिली मैन और एज एन इंडिविजुअल, लाइफ इज फुल ऑफ डिलेमा। हमारे सामने दुविधा आती ही रहती है कि ये करें कि ये करें, ये करें कि ये करें। नहीं, नेक्स्ट। तो अब हम देखें कि किस तरह के एथिकल डिलेमा आते हैं, खास करके जब हम ऑफिस में काम करते हैं। तो would he keep silent when he finds that administrative discretion is abused, or that corruption or nepotism are practiced, or should he blow the whistle? Blow हो गया, फट गया हो, blow the whistle. So this is one situation. दूसरा है, should he actively engage in pressure group activities because he sympathizes with their views? जैसे आजकल बहुत सारा ये बहुत सारे ऐसे सर्विस प्रोवाइडर के थ्रू लोग आते हैं और आ जाते हैं। देयर आर मेनी पीपल हु टर्न आउट टू बी गुड परफॉर्मर्स, but there are many candidates which do not turn out to be who are not even average performers, and then it becomes very difficult to get rid of them. वहाँ एक प्रेशर ग्रुप बन जाएगा, साहब अब इतना दिन से रह गया यूनिवर्सिटी में, इतने दिन से ऑफिस में रह गया, अब इसकी शादी भी हो गई है, तो हाउ विल ही मैनेज हिज फैमिली, तो आप इसको निकाल देंगे तो वो कहाँ जाएगा, उसके लिए तो कोई जॉब नहीं है. So lot of pressure groups start building up. This is one example I am giving you. There may be another examples of pressure group. So should you become a part of the pressure group because you sympathize with them? So क्या आप, if you are working in the administration, are you going to be a part of their demonstration? It's a dilemma. Even though you sympathize with them. Another situation is, should he actively participate in party politics, or should he endeavor only to promote the public good or uphold the क्या है नीचे?
High standards.
Uphold the high standards in public office. So these are the situations which always confront you, and as administrator, you have to take decision. We have to weigh what course of action should be taken. ये इसको आपको, और ये जो the entire discussion on value and ethics is to help you or to help ourselves to take right course of action, to make right choices, because there will be many situations where you will encounter a situation of dilemma. तो उस समय आप याद कीजिए कि भाई इसमें क्या है, क्या ये यूनिवर्सिटी के हित में है, क्या ये स्टूडेंट्स के हित में है, क्या ये यहाँ जो जनरल स्टाफ है उसके हित में है, क्या ये इससे कहीं देश का इमेज तो खराब नहीं हो जाएगा. बिकॉज आपने अपना एक्ट देखा होगा, दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी ये इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ नेशनल इंपॉर्टेंस है, सपोज आपके एक्ट में है शायद, इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ नेशनल इंपॉर्टेंस. जब ये सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी बनाया गया था, शायद दिस इज एन इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ नेशनल इंपॉर्टेंस. आप देखिएगा, ये यू आर ए पेस सेटर. अगर आप यहाँ कुछ करते हैं तो दूसरे यूनिवर्सिटी आपको कोट करते हैं, भाई दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में भी ऐसा हो रहा है. if that is you are a pace setter, जैसे KVS was set up not only for catering to the requirements of the government officers who are on move because of their frequent transfers and other things, but KVS was also set up, Kendriya Vidyalaya was also set up to become a pace setting institution. आप उसका देखिएगा MOA में, pace setting institution for school education. So most of the experiments take place in KVS, in educational system, which is followed by other educational institutions. So the crux of the matter is how you are promoting public good and upholding high moral standards of the office. अगर ये दो चीज आप ध्यान में रखें तो lot of your dilemma will be taken care of. नहीं तो आपके सामने दुविधा आती रहेगी, दुविधा आती भी है ना, और उसमें बहुत मुश्किल होता है क्या करें. Anyway, next. So how to resolve it? Yes, go ahead please. Somebody wants to ask something? Okay, so public servants should ask themselves following question when making ethical decisions. कि कैसे आप ethical decision लेते हैं? Is the action legal and consistent with government policy? हम कहते हैं कि भाई ये हमारा जो पॉलिसी के हिसाब से है कि नहीं, आपका डिसीजन बहुत आसान है. Is the action in line with my agency's goals and code of conduct? जैसे आपके कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट में है कि नहीं, जैसे आपको you will not go to the press. आपके अगर कोई grievances हैं, you will not go to the press, you will make a representation internally and get it resolved. And you are going to the press, so the press is against your code of conduct. So आपके मन में अगर ये आता है कि नहीं भाई हमारा तो काम नहीं हो रहा है, मैं तो प्रेस में चला जाऊंगा, but then in that case you are going to violate the code of conduct. अब जैसे हमारे सामने क्वेश्चन आया, government has banned purchase of new vehicles because the finance commission was set up and they took a decision that most of the government vehicles, for running the government vehicles, you have to appoint one driver on full-time basis, and the cost of salary and the pensionary liabilities are outweighing the requirement of the local transportation of that person or the officer for whom the vehicle has been purchased. तो गवर्नमेंट ने डिसाइड किया नो न्यू व्हीकल, यू बेटर कीप ऑन हायरिंग द व्हीकल. हमारे प्रोजेक्ट में एक क्वेश्चन आया कि देयर वाज ए वेरी लीडिंग साइंटिस्ट, वो उसका वर्ल्ड में नाम है. सी केम रशिंग टू मी एंड हमने मना कर दिया था कि आप मत करिए. No, how can I run my work and like that? So I am giving you a letter, and if you are not replying within 3 days, it will be taken as if you have nothing to say. We will purchase a vehicle from the project fund. So हमने कहा कि madam, you give me some time because I may have to take. We are not allowing anybody, but because your case is very important and you require a vehicle, you have to travel all the way from in the mountain and very difficult areas to collect germ plasma and other things. So we will, but let me, you have made out a case. So let me approach the Ministry of Finance, because Ministry of Finance is the person is giving us fund, and this is their guidelines that we are following. So let us approach them. If they allow, we have no problem. No, we do not know. You people create problem to us like this. So we are, if you are not going to reply within 3 days, we are going to purchase. तो हमने फिर उनको politely कहा कि you are free to purchase, but please ensure that it is not booked under your personal account, because I am going to book it under your personal account. You may purchase a vehicle. If I am not getting a permission, it is a public money, public fund. If we are not getting a permission to use the public fund for buying a vehicle, that vehicle that you are going to purchase will be booked under your account, and that account is with us. भाई गवर्नमेंट के पास आपका अकाउंट है ना, पीपीएफ है, दूसरा भी है, ये भी है, आपसे हम रियलाइज कर लेंगे. Then they got shaken. तो कहने का ये मतलब है कि if it is a public good, if it is going to help, हमने कई जगह exemption लिए, but government has decided that we will allow you everything, but don't buy new vehicles and don't appoint new full-time drivers. If that is the policy of the government, it is in the larger interest of the society. So you have to assess your action in that direction. So do I think it is the right thing to do? What will be the outcome for the enhancement department, my colleagues or other parties and me? Can I justify doing it? ये बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट अब हो गया है, क्योंकि पहले क्या था, आरटीआई और ये सब नहीं थे. इट वाज इजी टू hide your decisions behind the files, inside the files, और ऑफिशियल सीक्रेट एक्ट में आप नहीं बताते थे अपने डिसीजन. But today the public has every right to ask you the basis of your taking that decision. आज तो right to information act में they can ask you, or even the projects are social audited, so public has every right to know the rationale, the justification for your taking that decision. तो क्या आप justify कर पाएंगे? और यहाँ तो शायद आप लोगों ने फेस नहीं किया होगा, हमने फेस किया है. The parliament has a parliamentary standing committee, public accounts committee. So if there are certain issues which are inconsistent with the government policy, they are the CAG may point it out and they may make out a case and it goes to public accounts committee. And in public accounts committee, only the secretary of the government of India, they are summoned. हम लोग उसमें एक दो फेस किया है, but that was dropped. मुरली मनोहर जोशी जी उस समय थे उसके चेयर में. So there was a case in which my secretary was called and we made out a case and we justified it, and then he understood because he was also a science background person. तो उनको पता था कि साइंस डिपार्टमेंट में क्या क्या इश्यूज होते हैं. So he got immediately convinced and he dropped that case. So on the behalf of public, because you are using public money, you are accountable to the public. So you have to justify before the public or the person on behalf of whom you are working your decisions. तो आप ये देखें कि आप कर पाएंगे कि नहीं. और इस कंटेक्स्ट में आप जो, मैं एक किताब आप लोगों को कोट करना चाहूंगा, महात्मा गांधी की किताब है थियोरी ऑफ ट्रस्टीशिप. हम लोग यहाँ सोचते हैं कि मैं मालिक हो गया, यहाँ ये मालिकाना हक आपको छोड़ना पड़ेगा. यू आर ओनली ए ट्रस्टी. ये महात्मा गांधी बार बार ये कहते हैं, यू आर ओनली ए ट्रस्टी, पब्लिक ट्रस्टी. पब्लिक फंड के आप पब्लिक ट्रस्टी हैं, आप ट्रस्टी के रूप में इसका काम कर रहे हैं, ये नहीं कि आपका मालिकाना हक हो गया, नहीं। तो ये ओनली देन यू कैन जस्टिफाई योर एक्शन। तो इस तरह से आप अपने डिसीजंस को जस्टिफाई कर चुके। नाउ लेट अस मूव। और अल्टीमेटली क्या है कि क्या आप वो हायर ह्यूमन वैल्यूज को आप अपने सामने रखते हैं कि नहीं। अगर आपने ये रखा है कि आई एम हियर टू हेल्प पीपल, जैसे हम फार्मर्स को हेल्प करने जाते हैं, वहां हम बार बार लोगों को कहते हैं डोंट गो एज एन एक्सपर्ट, गो एज ए फ्रेंड ऑफ द फार्मर। नहीं तो मुन्ना भाई एमबीबीएस में वो क्या कहता था, भाई हम तुम्हारे दोस्त हैं, हम तुम्हारी बात सुनते हैं। तो ही वॉज ए हीलर। तो ये जो कंपैशन है, हेल्प है, ये है, इफ यू आर इन दैट मोड यू विल सर्टेनली बी doing something not unethical. Ethically you will be doing something which will be in the larger interest of your people, larger interest of your। चलिए नेक्स्ट। अब हम देखते हैं कि इन द लार्जर कंटेक्स्ट ऑफ द गवर्नेंस हाउ दीज मोरल एंड एथिकल पैरामीटर्स हेल्प इंप्रूविंग द गवर्नेंस। कोई क्वेश्चन है? एनी क्वेश्चन सो फार? एनी क्वेश्चन? So now let us see what is governance. तब हमको समझ में आ गई govern how this all these things help us in better governance and improving the governance. चलिए next, हमारे पास टाइम है ना? So what is governance? The way authority is exercised in the management of countries' social and economic resources for development. So managing the resources, social and economic, both the resources, social and economic resources for the development, जन कल्याण के लिए, लोक कल्याण के लिए। तो राजा का क्या धर्म है? वहां हमने देखा कि धर्म रक्षति रक्षिता। तो यहाँ राजा का क्या धर्म? तो कौटिल्य ने लिखा अर्थशास्त्र में ये प्रज्ञा या प्रजा रक्षति धर्म, या प्रजा की रक्षा करना राजा का धर्म है, ऐसे कुछ लिखा हुआ। तो जन कल्याण या लोक कल्याण यही आपका धर्म है। तो लोक कल्याण के लिए अगर आप if you are using all the resources, social or economic resources for lok kalyan, for public good, that is governance. So how to take those principles into actions so that the governance improves, because there are certain concerns in governance. आइए आगे। तो गवर्नेंस में, so what are the parameters of governance? Accountability and transparency, responsive, inclusive and equality। ना इंक्लूसिव होना चाहिए। आप सुनते होंगे कि भाई इंक्लूसिव गवर्नेंस है ना। इफेक्टिव एंड एफिशिएंट, it should not only be efficient that you are better utilizing the resources, it should be effective also। रिजल्ट भी तो डिलीवर करे। आप सिर्फ एफिशिएंट हैं लेकिन रिजल्ट डिलीवर नहीं कर रहे हैं, नहीं वो नहीं है। बाउंड बाय रूल्स, ये नहीं है कि मनमानी, कुछ तो रूल्स एंड प्रोसीजर होंगे, कुछ तो सिस्टम होगा, कुछ तो नॉर्म्स होंगे। इंड्यूसिंग पार्टिसिपेशन ऑल्सो, ये नहीं कि इसे सो आजकल क्या है कि कंसेंसस बिल्डिंग, पार्टिसिपेशन, दिस इज द नॉर्म, दिस इज वन ऑफ द कंडीशंस ऑफ गुड गवर्नेंस। देन एग्रीमेंट ऑफ स्टेक होल्डर। आज आप देखिए कि आप कुरिकुलम आप डेवलप करते हैं, यू पुट इट अप ऑन द वेबसाइट, और आप कहते हैं कि भाई हमारे जो एक्सपर्ट हैं, दूसरे लोग हैं, हमारे सीनियर फैकल्टी जो रिटायर भी हो गए हैं, जो दूसरे कंसर्न लोग हैं, ये बताएं कि मैं ये कुरिकुलम में चेंज रिफॉर्म करना चाह रहा हूं बेस्ड ऑन द न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी। सो व्हाट इज योर आइडिया अबाउट दिस? एंड देन यू डू ए लार्जर स्टेक होल्डर कंसल्टेशन, दैट इंप्रूव्स योर गवर्नेंस। और फिर आप लोग उसको करते हैं, नहीं? सो दीज आर द एलिमेंट्स ऑफ गवर्नेंस। नहीं, so in Indian context, what are the different elements of governance? So we know that India is a federal society, so यहाँ यूनियन और स्टेट दोनों मिल करके कर रहे हैं। Then supremacy of constitution, judiciary is independent, and we have directive principles which helps the government in taking the making framing the right policy and taking right and gives direction and social, economic, and to ensure social, economic, and political justice. So these are the basic elements of Indian governance. But what are the major concerns in this? Let us see. Yeah? So the major concerns are poor governance, insensitivity at the cutting edge level. Cutting edge level क्या हुआ? जहां पब्लिक कंटैक्ट है, मान लीजिए कि कोई स्टूडेंट आपसे कुछ पूछने आता है और आप ठीक से जवाब नहीं देते, तो यू आर डायलूटिंग द इमेज ऑफ द यूनिवर्सिटी. So people are to be trained how to deal with them. Financial management, this is one of the concepts. कटिंग एज में जैसे आप राशन कार्ड लेने जाते हैं या ये पासपोर्ट बनवाने जा रहे हैं या करेक्शन या व्हीकल का नया लाइसेंस लेने, so all those cutting edges, these are cutting edges and how public feels about it. So a lot of concerns are still there. Financial management by a state, डेवलपमेंट डिफरेंशियल, डिजिटल डिवाइड, हर जगह डिजिटल डिवाइड है, बहुत बहुत पूरा का पूरा. अभी आप देखेंगे तो lot of our students or lot of our schools, they don't have adequate digital infrastructure. तो जो आप डिजिटली ये करते थे, आपने देखा होगा कोविड के समय में कई स्टेट्स में बच्चे और ये एरिया में बच्चे पेड़ पर चढ़ के वो वाईफाई को ये करते थे और फिर वो पढ़ते थे. डिजिटल डिवाइड. आज अगर हेल्थ केयर का, if we are talking of health care, you see telemedicine has become now a common thing. But do you think that in all the areas in India, people are having, even if they are having mobile, because India has very high penetration of mobile phone, this network is so bad that they are not able to take a full benefit of this teleconsultation. तो ये डिजिटल डिवाइड तो वहाँ है. तो हाउ दिस इज बीइंग, देन इंस्टीट्यूशनल रेस्पॉन्सिवनेस, हाउ यू आर रेस्पॉन्सिव टू द ग्रीवांसेज ऑफ द पीपल. जैसे यहाँ तो ग्रीवांस का रिप्रेजेंटेशन आया, मंथ्स टुगेदर इट इज नॉट एड्रेस. वी हैड ए सिस्टम, आपने देखा होगा सीपी ग्राम, सेंट्रल पोर्टल फॉर ग्रीवांस रिप्रेजेंटेशन मैकेनिज्म. सो वी यूज्ड टू ट्रैक. So if any grievance is sitting undisposed for more than 15 days, we will start monitoring it. और फिर उसको फिर 60 days से ज्यादा है, 90 days से ज्यादा है, तो what are the reasons, what is the actual problem, and you will be surprised to know that in some of the cases we received complaints about students reporting to us that they have not received their UGC fellowship. I was looking after the higher agriculture education, agriculture universities में देख रहा था. Some of the students reported that they have not received GRF or SRF scholarship. I was there. I asked my people to contact the student and check their account और वो रिपोर्ट करे कि क्या ये सही उसका है. अगर सही है तो who is at fault, and we took them to task कि क्यों उसको स्कॉलरशिप नहीं मिला, टाइम से स्कॉलरशिप क्यों नहीं रिलीज किया गया. So there has to be a system to make the system responsive. तभी तो आप कहेंगे ना कि भाई आप स्टूडेंट के लिए रेस्पॉन्सिव हैं. आप many faculty members from different universities, they said that their promotion is overdue and something like that. फिर हमने पता किया क्या उनके यहाँ कैश सिस्टम है, क्या कैश सिस्टम का, whether that cash system has been operated or not, what is the problem, कहाँ. Then we talk to the university, we talk to the people there, we talk to the secretary, because there are many universities which are under the state government. So that way the system has to become responsive. Lack of transparency and ultimately ease of living. आज अगर आपका एक नल खराब हो जाए, या सरकारी मकान में रह रहे हैं या बिजली का तार वहाँ है या कोई केबल जा रहा है और वो खराब हो जाए, इट्स ए ह्यूज प्रॉब्लम फॉर यू. भाई पता नहीं अब कब ठीक होगा, ये बरसात भी बीत जाएगी लेकिन ये गड्ढा नहीं भरेगा यहाँ. I tell you one instance how ease of living and why USA and other countries are said to be the developed countries. I was in the USA visiting my daughter. So she has bought a house, and in front of her house in the driveway, there was some defect in the cable, electrical cable. They made a complaint to the local town authority to correct that short circuiting or something. in the underground cable. So for 2-3 days there was no response. On 4th or 5th day, people came, visited that place, and then they were very apologetic that they could not make a quick response. Already 2-3 days are passed, so they have come, but they came with all paraphernalia. So what they saw, that they cut that road and picked up that cable, they fixed the problem and then set it. Then suddenly following them, the other machine and other things for making a pitch, they came. They were all lined up. Ye gaya cable. Once the cable was fixed, then the pitching was done. It so happened that this cable was inside here, and this pitching was done. And in the process, the edge of their driveway, उनका जो drive parking का drive, so that edge was disfigured. So somebody came and then they set right that edge also, side का edge. लेकिन क्या हुआ इस process में? Everything was being done by machine. So the lawn, the grass, which was by the side of that edge, that grass was mauled. A part of that grass. एक तीसरा पूरा set उनका, the set of people were there who came. They did some they uprooted the mauled grasses. फिर उन्होंने पूरा seeding किया grass का, फिर उसमें seed डाला, फिर उसके बाद उसमें pesticide डाला, और फिर एक झंडा लगाया कि भाई the pesticide is there so that the child and anybody is not going to, so should not touch this for another 7 days because this pesticide will be effective till that time. और फिर उसमें पानी डाला और ये करके then only, and then they came, they were very apologetic that they have delayed it for 2-3 days and then they went. This is the ease of living. अपन यहाँ क्या है कि अगर जल बोर्ड के लिए आपने कहा कि भाई वो है तो वो गड्ढा खोद करके उसको तो ठीक कर देगा, but there is nobody to fill that गड्ढा.
से जैसे डाउन होंगे, यहाँ हमारे सीएम साहब का भी घर है और सिविल लाइन का एरिया मोस्ट वीआईपी एरिया
मैं जानता हूँ.
वो सड़क जो है,
so this is a major concern, this ease of living. और हम लोग अभी इस ease of living में अभी बहुत पीछे हैं. और क्यों पीछे हैं तो आप देखिए कि हम लोग आगे अभी देखते हैं कि प्रॉब्लम क्या हो रहा है. सो लेट अस गो फर्दर. तो ये सब गवर्नेंस का इशू है. करप्शन, अनएम्प्लॉयबिलिटी, है ना, सिविल सोसाइटी एक्शन, प्रोग्राम स्कीम इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, ये सब दीज आर द कंसर्न्स. लेट अस गो फर्दर. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. So these are the actors, government, ये farmers, NGOs, these are all actors in rural areas, urban areas में local elected body, MCD और ये सब सारे ये partners हैं. एक partnership हमारा नहीं बन पा रहा. This is the biggest problem. Everybody is working in isolation, and this partnership is required. Only then governance can improve. और governance का मतलब that government alone cannot do everything. The government, civil society and market, सबको मिल के काम करना है towards the society. So that framework has to be created. Next slide. So this is about the collaborative governance, that there are 3 major players: the state, government, then business, and then the third sector is civil society. And this collaborative governance has to be done, and this makes our work much more challenging. पहले के जमाने में आप यूनिवर्सिटी में काम कर रहे होंगे, you never bothered about the RTI being asked for a particular decision. मुझे याद है when I was doing recruitment in KVS, many people would put up a question or for information, their application for information about how many marks were given in the selection by the selection committee members to in this particular selection for the assistant commissioner, deputy commissioner, merit का आप हमको बताएं. Then they will say that he was busy in other meeting, so how come he was part of this selection committee? Like that, all kinds of questions. Some questions are valid also, but some questions are based on partial information. फिर हमने एक प्रोसेस उनको बताया कि भाई ये फाइल है, खुला हुआ है. So I started opening the file. You come and you have a look at it. So this collaborative governance will, collaborative mechanism will improve your governance. Next. और ये क्यों जरूरी है, अब आप देखेंगे कि गुड गवर्नेंस के लिए, फॉर गुड गवर्नेंस दिस कोलैबोरेटिव गवर्नेंस इज essential, because good governance means it should be predictable, open and enlightened policy, bureaucracy imbued with professional ethos. तो ये सारी चीजें वही है जो अभी हम लोगों ने बात की. So if you have a value framework, if we are making ethical choices, ethical decision making, if you are doing ethical decision making, this will help you bringing in a regime of good governance. और नहीं होने का क्या प्रॉब्लम है वो हम देखते हैं आगे. अब आप देखें कि अगर गुड गवर्नेंस नहीं है तो क्या प्रॉब्लम है. तो दिस इज ए रैंकिंग गिवन बाय ट्रांसपेरेंसी इंटरनेशनल. इंडिया इज 20 ट्रांसपेरेंसी इंटरनेशनल का नाम आप लोगों ने सुना है, which looks at the level of corruption in a particular country. तो अब देखिए कि इंडिया 86 पोजीशन में था 2021 में, इट केम ऑन 85th, 2022 it is again at 85th position. So out of 180 countries or 190 countries, this is the position of India. But what is interesting that you see other countries, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, US and Britain. So if you see that, see Pakistan is still at 140, it is sliding. Bangladesh is also sliding more or less. Nepal is also on a very, it has scored very low. 0 to 100 में उसको ये करते हैं. श्रीलंका. So do you see any pattern in this? आप देखिए कि आपके सारे पड़ोसी जो देश हैं उनके साथ प्रॉब्लम है ना अभी. ये इंडिपेंडेंट रैंकिंग
ये सब बढ़ रही है, घट रही है.
नहीं, ये बढ़ रहा है ना, इसका मतलब कि ये और नीचे जा रहा है, नीचे का रैंक में जा रहा है. बहुत कम स्कोर इनको मिल रहा है, तो ये इनका रैंक नीचे जा रहा है. 180 में 147वां पर है, कोई 150 पर है, कोई 100 ऐसे है.
सही रैंकिंग देने वाली कंपनी तो आई थिंक यूरोप की है.
हाँ, ये यूरोप की है.
इसमें सारी एशियन कंट्रीज
नहीं, लेकिन अभी छोड़ दीजिए कहीं का भी है, बट आई एम एबल टू सी ए पैटर्न इन दिस. एक दूसरा रैंकिंग देखिए. लेट अस गो टू द अनदर रैंकिंग. हैव यू हर्ड ऑफ दिस ट्रेस ब्राइबरी रिस्क मैट्रिक्स? The trace bribery risk matrix gives you an indication as to how much the government departments are risk prone. कितना वहाँ bribe देने की जरूरत पड़ती है काम कराने के लिए. And you will be surprised to know that at one point of time, on the direction of the parliament, we had to give them a data on purchase of photocopier and other machines, office equipment from a particular company, because they had made a complaint that Indian organizations are very risk prone. They always demand bribes and other things. तो इसमें आप देखिए कि कंसिस्टेंटली जो फर्स्ट सेकंड थर्ड में जो आ रहा है वो स्वीडन, नॉर्वे, डेनमार्क, जो वो कंट्री. और यहाँ देखिए कितना सबसे नीचे कौन आ रहा है. इरिट्रिया, तुर्कमेनिस्तान, नॉर्थ कोरिया 192, 181, 192. ये इसका मतलब है कि अब देख लीजिए नॉर्थ कोरिया की क्या हालत है. उनके यहाँ it is become very difficult. It is becoming very difficult for them to even supply the food to their public. So next, so the whole thing boils down to this. It is generating inequality in the system. So in too many countries, people are deprived of their most basic needs and go to bed hungry every night because of corruption, while the powerful and corrupt enjoy a lavish lifestyle with impunity. ये जो inequality जो बढ़ रही है, so this is not a good sign in terms of governance. So and everybody is responsible for that. आप जहाँ भी public resources use कर रहे हैं, public money use कर रहे हैं, या public institutions handle कर रहे हैं, everybody has to take care of this so that this inequality, this transparency, this fairness, our action should help in ensuring development of the society, development of the country. This is the crux of the matter. So good governance initiatives started way back in 10th plan. वो आप समझिए कि 10th plan कब से शुरू हुआ था, 2006-7 या 5 के आसपास, वहां से शुरुआत हुई थी। तो 10th प्लान डॉक्यूमेंट आइडेंटिफाइड गुड गवर्नेंस एज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट क्रूशियल फैक्टर फॉर अचीवमेंट ऑफ टारगेट्स ऑफ द प्लान। क्योंकि आप जो प्लान स्कीम बनाते हैं, इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू implement those plans and scheme, that means you are not delivering on the results. So way back in 10th plan this good governance initiative was taken, और ये एक ही सेक्टर में नहीं है। आप लोगों ने, कितने लोगों ने एक इंडिया स्ट्रेटजी पेपर देखा है? हैव यू सीन ये स्ट्रेटजी पेपर, इंडिया एट 75? दिस इज a strategy paper issued by नीति आयोग। उसको पढ़िए। दिस टॉक्स अबाउट एवरी सेक्टर, be that railway, be that health sector, education, everything, and they have identified the issues and the strategy to be taken to streamline this process. मैं पब्लिकली यहाँ नहीं बात करूंगा, आप उस डॉक्यूमेंट को ही देखेंगे तो आपको पता चले। एजुकेशन सेक्टर में, and we are facing every day we are talking and this has been discussed there. So Indian strategy paper देखिए कैसे, how you can improve the governance and how the sector in which you are working, you can improve that sector by taking those ethical and principled making ethical and principled choices. Next. तो अभी कुछ प्रैक्टिकल हम देखें। ये सब तो थियरी के रूप में हुआ। व्हाट प्रैक्टिकल स्टेप्स शुड बी टेकन एंड हाउ इट हेल्प्स इन इंप्रूविंग द गवर्नेंस इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस आल्सो। जैसे लीडरशिप इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, working environment is very, so you have to ensure that your working environment is that way. Workable codes of conduct and value statement, बहुत सारे ऐसे जगह हैं, there are many organizations where you don't have any system, any process, कुछ पता ही नहीं है कि हमें करना क्या है। It is all based on whims and fancy and likes and dislikes of individual. So the point is that if you want to improve the governance in an organization, you have to develop some workable codes and workable system and professional social mechanism and training program, risk reviews and controls. You have to always conduct risk reviews. Suppose somebody is posted in examination department for more than 10 years. Do you think it is a wise decision on the part of the management to allow somebody to be posted in a department of examination for 10 long years? तो CBC ने इसका नॉर्म्स निकाले हैं that you CBC says that you identify different areas, different departments in your own organization which is sensitive according to you, and make a plan. You don't allow a person to continue there for more than 2 years and you keep on moving, so that they do not develop roots, they do not develop lot of friends there. तो आपका गवर्नेंस, तो that will be compromised. So these are the things. Then you develop control mechanism. If your audit system is not that strong, if your financial management is not that strong, if your IT, why don't you take help of e-governance or IT in improving all these things? So that will help. If so, you have to keep on reviewing your organization, different departments, their functioning, and develop some checks and balances so that this governance improves. Next. So they are talking of control. So how the control mechanism can be improved? So clear policies, procedures, and control. Separation of duties and oversight. I have seen that in many departments, the same person is also the purchaser, and the same person is also examining that proposal and approving that. There is no internal audit. There is no check and balance. Those things should be taken care of. So there should be duties and oversight should be separated, and so to create checks and balance. Effective monitoring, audit. देखिए यहाँ कह रहा है कि audit and reporting. अगर आपने ऑडिट में कुछ पाया भी तो रिपोर्टिंग हम नहीं करते हैं। अरे साहब वो नाराज हो जाएंगे, कैसे रिपोर्ट करेंगे? हमारे यहाँ सिस्टम है कि if there is every fortnight or every month a report will go from finance side to the Ministry of Finance, that in how many cases there have been deviations, in how many cases you have done as per the procedure laid down. So there has to be some system to improve the government. Clear mechanism for reporting wrongdoings भी होना चाहिए। अभी आप वर्ल्ड प्रोजेक्ट्स में देखेंगे, वो एक है उनका लाइन, एक open that 24/7 line है, so anybody can complain. Even in Government of India has introduced that under Whistleblowers Act, this, to check a balance for check and balance and a reporting of the wrongdoing. So these are the mechanisms through which you can improve the or put a control on wrongdoing and improve the governance. रिस्क रिव्यू हम लोगों ने बात की, सिविल सोसाइटी इंगेजमेंट, वो स्टेक होल्डर्स इंगेजमेंट आप करते हैं तो दैट हेल्प टेक्स केयर ऑफ लॉट ऑफ इंटीग्रिटी पैक्ट. आपने देखा होगा कि इंटीग्रिटी पैक्ट आजकल ये जनरल फाइनेंशियल रूल में भी आ गया है इंटीग्रिटी पैक्ट. All those who are involved in purchases, they have to sign an integrity pact. Even the vendors have to sign an integrity pact and give it to the authorities who have invited their bids. ये इंटीग्रिटी पैक्ट गवर्नमेंट हर जगह साइन करने को कहती है. देन प्रिवेंटिव विजिलेंस, दिस आल्सो नीड्स टू बी इम्प्रूव्ड, क्योंकि बाद में पकड़ना तो तब तक तो काफी कुछ हो गया रहता है ना. सो प्रिवेंटिव विजिलेंस हैज टू बी इंश्योर्ड. हम लोग करते थे इसको. सो रैंडम वी विल गो टू डिफरेंट इंस्टीट्यूशन and take their files, different files in which important decisions have been taken. We will go through it. It was not a policing game. It was not a policing exercise, but we do the random go. This I also introduced in KVS, gentlemen. हमने KVS में भी इसको introduce किया. This preventive vigilance. This was strengthened to a great extent. So lot of things happen. So the system has to improve so that the person who is implementing the system, they are not caught on the wrong foot. Many a times it happens because of their ignorance. Sometimes it is deliberate also. So if you are improving the system, that will help you in improving the governance of your organization. Next. And these are the corruption laws in India, and government servants are may be caught under all those things, all these acts. There are different provisions in Indian Penal Code, the Prevention of Corruption Act, Benami Transactions में, and Prevention of Money Laundering Act. इसमें बहुत सारे जो विजिलेंस केसेस होते हैं मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग एक्ट के तहत. Next. And this is a study as to how civil society engagement has helped in improving the governance. जो ये stakeholders consultation है, stakeholders consultation helps a lot in improving. कैसे वो करता है, the entire indicated. कितना कब तक कितना समय है और
चाय का ब्रेक भी नहीं हुआ.
अच्छा, चाय का ब्रेक नहीं हुआ. अच्छा, तो ठीक है, हम लोग चाय का ब्रेक करते हैं, उसके बाद फिर थोड़ा क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन करते हैं बिफोर वी एंड. अच्छा, हम लोग भूल ही गए चाय का ब्रेक.
इनको भी बोलती हूँ 5 मिनट बाद.
हाँ, ओके.
या यू वांट टू कंटिन्यू?
नहीं, हम ब्रेक करते हैं.
मतलब या तो चलता रह सकता है.
नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, ब्रेक करते हैं.
अच्छा. Online participants will rejoin in 5 minutes. Online participants, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We'll rejoin in 5 minutes. We'll take a break.
Fine, ma'am. Fine, thank you.
Sure.
इसमें बहुत बोलना है.
सब्जेक्ट बहुत वास्ट है. We have to no. The organization is guided by its own policies, its own guidelines, its own mandate, its own vision. But there are stakeholders. Their views are important because ultimately these stakeholders are going to be affected with your decisions. So to know their views and how you are reconciling so that your policy becomes effective, so that you will take based on your own guidelines and your own vision. आपको क्या करना है ना? तो
अब उनका अपना कुछ हो सकता है, when they are taking their decision in their own, in respect of their organization, they will be guided by their philosophy. They may give you suggestion which has which is based on their ideas, their value system, their philosophy. But when you are framing your policy, you have to reconcile their views with your policy. ना तो सबका, इसलिए हम कंसल्टेशन करते हैं, कंसल्ट करके उनके व्यूज को हम हार्मोनाइज करते हैं, and whatever fits into your overall philosophy, overall your policy, then you frame your guidelines accordingly.
सर एक चीज और भी है,
हाँ बोलिए।
कोई पॉलिसी अगर बनाते हैं वो बेसिकली डाटा बेस्ड होती है।
हाँ, एविडेंस बेस्ड बनाना चाहिए,
डाटा बेस्ड होती है। बट कई बार ऐसा देखा है कि ऑफिस में बैठ गया, मैंने आपसे आइडिया लिया जी और डाटा कलेक्ट किए करते हैं, बट हम बेसिकली नहीं देख पाते हैं पर्टिकुलर जिस फील्ड में हमें करना है, वहाँ इम्प्लीमेंट करना है, वहां पर जो काम कर रहा है आदमी उसके लेवल को छोड़ दीजिए, हम उससे शेयर कम करते हैं कि आपकी क्या प्रॉब्लम है, क्या सजेशंस वगैरह हैं, इसके भी हमें ड्रॉबैक देखे जाते हैं। उसका क्या मतलब सर? सोल्यूशन
आप लोगों का कोई आइडिया इसमें? एनीबॉडी हु हैज एन आइडिया? It's a very important question that one of our participants has asked, that our policies and our are generally, it should be based on evidence, data, but at no point of time you will be able to catch hold of all the data required for you. नहीं, यही कह रहे हैं ना, एक टाइम में कभी आपके पास डेटा नहीं होगा, सारा डेटा आपके पास नहीं होगा, then how to frame your policy? यही है ना क्वेश्चन। तो क्या, तो आप लोगों का क्या? हाँ,
बेसिकली जो डाटा है, झूठ 3 प्रकार के होते हैं जैसे मैंने पढ़ा है,
झूठ
और अर्थशास्त्र, और डाटा जो कि अर्थशास्त्र पे निर्भर होता है, इसलिए डाटा 100% करेक्ट नहीं होता, ऐसा मैंने पढ़ा है।
डेटा तो सुनिए फिर यहाँ हम लोग गलत समझ, डेटा झूठ नहीं होगा, डेटा का इंटरप्रिटेशन या डेटा का यूज अपने तरह से हो सकता है।
डेटा हम कलेक्ट कर रहे हैं, मैंने आपसे पूछा और आप ऑफिस में बैठे बैठे मुझे दे रहे हैं, फील्ड में नहीं गए हैं,
वो एक दूसरी बात है। डेटा कलेक्ट करने की प्रक्रिया अलग हो सकती है, लेकिन उसका भी आप लोगों का क्या आइडिया है, कैसे इसको करना चाहिए?
एग्जीक्यूशन पोर्शन होता है ना एट द लेवल ऑफ पॉलिसी मेकिंग, वो पार्ट ओमिट हो जाता है।
तो कैसे करना चाहिए, कुछ हम लोग सोचे, लेट अस डू सम ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग
बिफोर making or framing any policy. We should take the suggestions and ideas from the ground levels and all the stakeholders.
नहीं, डेटा के ही मामले में हम लेंगे, जैसे कह रहे हैं कुछ डेटा आपको लगता है कि वैलिड नहीं, so at no point of time you will be having all the data 100% available with you. बेसिक बात तो यही हुई ना, कुछ डेटा जो आया वो गलत होगा, 80% सही होगा, 70% सही होगा, ऐसे परिस्थिति में क्या करना चाहिए, ये हम लोगों को सोचने की जरूरत है। अच्छा, कितने लोगों ने हैज एनीबॉडी हर्ड अबाउट VUCA वर्ड? Volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous. Have you heard of this environment? जो लोग वार जोन में हैं, जैसे मान लीजिए कि अभी आप देख रहे हैं कि सडनली अभी राइस का हार्डनिंग प्राइस हो गया, इंडिया से जो राइस जा रहा है अमेरिका में, वो सडन उसका बहुत प्राइस हाइक हो गया है। अभी गवर्नमेंट जो है वो तेल के मामले में थोड़ा ये कर रही है, ऑयल एंड पल्सेज के इंपोर्ट पर कर रही है, यहाँ से शुगर का बहुत सारा एक्सपोर्ट हो रहा था, उसको सडन बंद करना पड़ा। तो आपको नहीं लगता है कि जो अफगानिस्तान में जो सिचुएशन खड़ा हो रहा है, या उधर यूक्रेन का जो सिचुएशन हो रहा है, या अमेरिका का जो पॉलिसी हो रहा है, या श्रीलंका में जो पॉलिसी हो गया, दैट इज अफेक्टिंग यू?
मार्केट तो है,
यू आर पार्ट ऑफ द लार्जर इन्वायरमेंट। पहले अपने को ऐसे सोचिए दैट यू आर पार्ट ऑफ द लार्जर इन्वायरमेंट। हम लोग क्या सोचते हैं कि इन जनरली जो गवर्नमेंट में जो काम कर रहे हैं, गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन या पब्लिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस में, दैट आवर इन्वायरमेंट इज स्टैटिक, आवर इन्वायरमेंट इज फिक्स्ड। हम लोग बिल्कुल ही, इसलिए हर समय हम 100% इंश्योर करना चाहते हैं, 100% हम इंश्योर हो जाएं कि यही है, तभी हम डिसीजन लेंगे। तो आपको ट्रेन करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज द सिचुएशन इज डिफरेंट, सिचुएशन इज वोलेटाइल, सिचुएशन इज कॉम्प्लेक्स। पहले जितना सिंपल था यूनिवर्सिटी चलाना, इट इज नॉट दैट सिंपल। कॉम्प्लेक्स मीन्स देयर इज नो एपरेंट कॉज एंड इफेक्ट रिलेशनशिप, आपको नहीं पता चलेगा। अलग अलग कैंपस में, ऑफ कैंपस का एक अलग इन्वायरमेंट है, ऑन कैंपस का एक अलग इन्वायरमेंट है। प्राइवेट सेक्टर में जो है या दूसरे गवर्नमेंट का, जैसे दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट का भी बहुत सारे यहाँ कॉलेजेस हैं, उनका एक अलग इन्वायरमेंट होगा, आपके अपने इन्वायरमेंट। तो ये सब सारी चीजें हैं यूनिवर्सिटी में। एक यूनिवर्सिटी की ही बात ले लीजिए, उसी तरह से डिपार्टमेंट की भी बात है। एक ही जगह प्रोग्राम वो नहीं चल रहा है, 20 जगह पर प्रोग्राम चल रहा है। सिचुएशन हैज बिकम कॉम्प्लेक्स, एम्बिगुअस, अनसर्टेन। तो अनसर्टेनिटी है कि किसी भी समय आपके पास कंप्लीट इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं है। So you have to be trained to take decisions in uncertainty also, and how to deal with uncertainty. तो आउटलायर्स डेटा में भी होते हैं, आउटलायर्स होंगे तो आपको आउटलायर्स, अगर आपने स्टेटिस्टिक्स पढ़ा होगा तो आउटलायर्स आप जानते होंगे। तो आउटलायर्स को हटा के आप एक लेते हैं, और कुछ तो आप once you start evolving then you leave some scope for mid course correction. आप कभी भी मत सोचें कि आप 100% इंश्योर हो जाएंगे तभी आप डिसीजन लो। थोड़ा अनसर्टेनिटी का भी स्कोप छोड़िए उसमें, एंड एज यू इवॉल्व यू स्टार्ट मेकिंग कोर्स करेक्शन। लेकिन इसके लिए योर सिस्टम हैज टू बिकम एफिशिएंट। ये नहीं कि अब एक प्रॉब्लम आ गया तो फिर आप 3 महीने तक उस पर डिसीजन नहीं ले रहे हैं। जैसे हम लोग इंपोर्ट करते थे, तो अब एक सामान आ गया और उसमें हमने इशू नहीं किया उसको इंपोर्ट एग्जाम्पशन सर्टिफिकेट, custom duty exemption certificate, and that is taking time because that has to be signed by one additional secretary from the Ministry of Finance. So you have to anticipate that by what time that import is landing, और वहां फिर 10 दिन रह गया, फिर वहां डैमरेज चार्जेस लगने लगा, फिर then you start thinking how to deal with that damage charges. ये तो हमारे फ्रेम में नहीं था। So to reduce all those things, you have to be more intelligent, more tech savvy. आप थोड़ा डेटा कलेक्ट करके रखें, you anticipate some issues, you anticipate some course of action that you have to take, and learn to take work in uncertainty also, क्योंकि आप 100% आज के समय में कभी नहीं ये कर पाएंगे। नहीं, इसलिए हम लोग अभी फील नहीं कर रहे हैं, लेकिन अगर अब आप बाहर में जाएंगे या ग्लोबल लेवल पर या नेशनल लेवल पर, the environment is not static, it is very volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous. So we have to learn to work in this VUCA world. और इस सब चीज के लिए अगर आपके बेसिक वैल्यू फ्रेमवर्क आपके सही नहीं, बेसिक फ्रेमवर्क आपका सही है, if that is robust, you will be able to take ethically correct decisions. इसलिए और ये ज्यादा जरूरी हो गया है, इसलिए और गवर्नमेंट जोर दे रही है कि आप बेसिक आपका फ्रेमवर्क सही हो, so that you are able to take make ethical choices, correct ethical choices. नहीं पता नहीं, hope I have been able to answer your ना,
बट वो हर एक चीज में होना चाहिए जो ईटेबल आइटम अभी रिसेंटली
नहीं। हम लोग 100% इंश्योर करने का जो हमारा माइंडसेट अभी है ना सरकारी सिस्टम में, उससे बाहर निकलने की जरूरत है, क्योंकि यहाँ पर प्रेशर नहीं है ना, प्रेशर नहीं है अनसर्टेनिटी का, तो वो अनसर्टेनिटी में कैसे काम होता है वो भी वो करने, दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट। एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? और कहीं कहीं पढ़िएगा आप।
Sir, if I may please, I just wanted to ask you, like, what shall we do if like two values clash with each other and we're faced with such kind of dilemma? You know, what to do in those? For example,
हमने वहां बताया एक जो when you are facing ethical dilemma, what should be done, how to resolve ethical dilemma. So if you go back to that slide, वहाँ है क्या, उसमें 2-3 चीजें हैं आपको ध्यान रखने की जरूरत है। You must ask a few questions. थोड़ा पीछे जाना पड़ेगा, और ऊपर, हाँ इसी के आसपास देखिए, तो ऊपर में उसके ऊपर रिजॉल्विंग एथिकल डिलेमा। So there are certain, this is not all, because nobody can give you a complete recipe for these things, but these are certain things which we can follow.
Can we share?
हाँ, ये तो शेयर में ही है.
No, as in share the screen.
Yeah, sir, the screen could be shared, yes.
See, resolving ethical dilemma. Can you see this screen now?
Yes, sir, I can see. I have to mute again and again because I'm commuting, so this will disturb the whole, process. That's why I'm muting it once I start seeing it. Yes, sir, I can see it.
So slides. Slides. So now you see that.
Sir.
This is second slide. Next slide. Next. Resolving ethical dilemma. Now you see, is the action legal and consistent with the government policy? So these are different criteria to test your action. Is the action in line with my agency's goal? That means your organization's goal and code of conduct, or the code of conduct prescribed for you. कई बार आपको लगता है कि हाँ ये हमें करना चाहिए, लेकिन whether all these things are consistent or not, do I think it is the right thing to do? And then finally it comes to, can I justify doing it? Because you are a public servant, if you are a public servant and you are using public resources and you are accountable to the public, so you have to justify your action to the public or the authorities appointed by the public. So if you are able to justify your decision, and if this action or your decision is inconsistent with the policy of the government, अब छोटा सा गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसी की आपको बात बताता हूँ. I was a member of one of the committees in Karnataka. Karnataka government had set up one committee. They had approved a project of 52 crores for modernizing their or use of artificial intelligence, other things, so many things in agriculture. And this project was not moving. And ultimately this project had to be saved because of one reason, that procurement could not be done because the government policy says that certain items cannot be purchased from the neighboring countries, or like that. There is a policy. And because of this, because the proposal was submitted was not consistent with the government policy, the proposal was not accepted. So your action, sometimes it looks like as if, when you are looking at it from a limited point of view, that even the Honorable Vice Chancellor was making impassioned appeal that if we are not going to finalize this, then the entire project will be shelved, because the secretary had called him that day and he was telling that if you are not going to complete this project within the time frame, we will have to cancel this project. But nobody could do that because the action was not consistent with the government policy. So the government, if the action is consistent with government policy, if it is consistent with the code of conduct prescribed for the individual working there, if you can justify those decisions, if you are meeting these parameters, I think much of your dilemma will be taken care of. Your choices will be more you will be able to take an ethically qualified decision. तो
right,
ये
sir, right.
ही करना पड़ेगा.
Thank you, sir.
Hope I have been able to answer your question.
Yes, sir, definitely. Thank you, sir.
तो हम लोग आगे चलें फिर. नहीं, हमने बहुत कवर कर दिया. आगे आइए. चलिए आगे चलो. हम लोग तो बहुत सारा कवर कर दिया ना.
52 पे थे. Wow, so आपने इतना सारा किया है. That sounds a lot. It's already.
So citizen engagement. So this is a total environment. This is a total ethical environment in which individual operates. नहीं, इसके बाद ये तो citizen engagement है. ADB का एक स्टडी है. This is on ADB study, Asia Development Bank study, as to how citizen engagement has improved the governance. चलिए next चलते हैं. So this is a total framework of ethical governance, how individual is there, then system is there, and then accountability and governance system, and then how it brings happiness to everybody. तो अभी जो हम लोग ease of living और इस सब की बात कर रहे थे, happiness की बात कर रहे थे. So well-being and happiness is the ultimate goal for any country. अभी आपको मालूम होगा कि भूटान ने happiness index introduce किया, बाद में फ्रांस में किया, इंडिया भी ये कर रहा है ना कि now happiness index is one of the parameters to assess the development of a country. इंडिया भी उस पर अभी बात कर रही है, सबसे पहले भूटान ने शुरू किया था. So next. So now you read this poem, what he says. When I asked God for strength, He gave me difficult situations to face. When I asked God for brain and brawn, He gave me puzzles in life to solve. When I asked God for happiness, He showed me some unhappy people. When I asked God for wealth, He showed me how to work hard. When I asked God for favors, He showed me opportunity to work hard. When I asked God for peace, He showed me how to help others. God gave me nothing I wanted. He gave me everything I needed. This is what Vivekananda says. तो आपका जो है ना बिलीफ सिस्टम है, अब क्या चाहते हैं, व्हाट इज मीनिंग यू आर सर्चिंग फॉर. जो हमने किताब आपको दिखाई, इन सर्च ऑफ मीनिंग. सो इफ यू आर सर्चिंग फॉर ए मीनिंग इन लाइफ, you will certainly follow a value framework for yourself and make ethical choices. और वो भी एक किताब आप लोग पढ़िए, फ्रांसिस फुकुयामा का आइडेंटिटी, how your dignity and identity helps you in making choices. Anyway, then next. So God does not want us to do extraordinary things. Bishop Gore, He wants us to do ordinary things extraordinarily. Bishop Gore. Next. So now it all falls on us as to what should be done. A letter to yourself making your commitment. क्या है वो? Let us see. हमारा क्या commitment है? हमारे ये जो दोनों हाथ हैं उसमें क्या कहता है? If it is to be, it is up to me. आपको ही तो करना है ये. हम लोग हर बार सोचते हैं कि दूसरा आदमी हमें करके दे देगा. ऐसा नहीं. It is your choice. You have to make a choice. You have to make an ethical choice, and that ethical choice shall be governed by the value system that you are upholding, and that value system is based on what you consider worthwhile in your life, that gives meaning to your life. That is what. Next. तो नीचे लाइन में कुछ पाएंगे. यहाँ है कि हम लोग तो दूसरे को सुधारने में लगे हुए हैं ना. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. कुछ अपने पर भी तो काम करें, लेकिन हम लोग तो दूसरे पर काम करने पर लगे हुए नहीं.
That's why we thought of taking the group for a walk.
अच्छा वहाँ पे
Gyaramoorti, maybe perhaps to Gyaramoorti also sometime. Monday को सोच रहे हैं सर इन लोगों को walk पे ले जाने को.
सर अपने भी कर रहे हैं, कभी-कभी जाते हैं ना वहाँ पर जो वाशरूम देखा प्लेन हो गया बिल्कुल कहाँ.
नेक्स्ट. उसके बाद this is my address. So we are running on our organization also, sir. So
सर एक चीज पूछना चाहता हूँ, मेडिकल यूनिवर्सिटी कहीं आईसी आती है
क्या किसमें?
हमारे पूसा में सीड्स का एक